what you need. Feel the draft. If finesse is what you want to possess, feel the draft. The power again is here at last. The NFL draft. Yeah.
Happy Jack wasn't told, but he was a fan. They couldn't stop Jack or the waters lapping. And they couldn't prevent Jack from being happy.
Shrimp has never tasted so big. Introducing TGI Fridays' new shrimp flavors. 3 all-new dishes overflowing with flavor. Like orange peel shrimp with a sweet and tangy glaze. Sizzling shrimp in a zesty pepper and tomato sauce. And spicy Cajun shrimp and chicken pasta. Get a taste of the new shrimp flavors. Now at TGI Fridays.
I don't think this on-demand thing is for us. Why not? It's for the big guys.
We're big.
What's big?
What's big? Biggest people in 6 countries, biggest suppliers in 12 states, biggest an office in Guam.
That is big.
Yeah, we have big guy issues, integration, outsourcing, on-demand issues.
So you're saying this on-demand thing
Is for us. Even though we're not that big.
Yet.
Act like a big guy, pay like a little guy.
What?
So, what you got for me? Please, that thing's a... Yeah, where you getting your numbers from, the sports section? But if it goes the other way, I'm gonna dump it. Gotta go. Lily, I'm all done for the day. Can you come in here for a minute? Hi, Lily Bean.
Daddy's home.
Institutional strength trading, now available on your desktop. For as little as $8 per trade, Fidelity Active Trader Services delivers power, price, service, no compromises.
In the NFL, getting to the Super Bowl takes courage, desire, commitment. But for you, it's just one click. Visit NFL.com/dreamticket and you could win 50-yard round tickets to Super Bowl 39 in Jacksonville. It's VIP access plus round-trip air, luxury hotel, and invites to the best NFL parties. Other winners receive free gift certificates to NFLshop.com. The only other way to get to the Super Bowl is to earn it. So enter today. Go to NFL.com/dreamticket.
We are back here in New York. There's about 2 minutes to go with the Chicago Bears on the clock, who finished nicely last year, but it was not enough to save Dick Duran's job. He's now the defensive coordinator at Detroit under Steve Mariucci. Lovie Smith, a defensive guru under Tony Dungy when they were at Tampa, the defensive coordinator of the St. Louis Rams, much improved defense, gets the chance to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. This is his first pick. You got to think that Tampa style, fast, quick, defensive lineman is what the doctor ordered.
Pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Tommy Harris,
There he is.
defensive tackle, Oklahoma.
I didn't say the name, but he is, Mel, right? He is.
Oh, yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He is quick. He is sap-like. I mean,
well, I'd say if I said 3 technique, who's the perfect 3 technique defensive tackle? Warren Sapp. Right. Tommy Harris comes out in that similar mold. I think when you look at a 3 technique, fast, athletic, penetrate, and give you a pass rush, that's what Tommy Harris can do. He's been a player since his freshman year, a big-time defensive tackle since his true freshman season, comes as a junior. When you look at Tommy Harris, 6'2.5", 295, that weight was up. He played at about 280 a lot of his career, and you watch him throughout his stay. This was against Alabama early on as attacking Brody Croyle. You see the ability. Remember, 3 technique, the quickness, the explosiveness, get into that backfield and give them a pass rush up the gut. Lovie Smith wants to attack the line of scrimmage, and the line of those defensive ends up wide. Defensive tackles have to pursue, they have to penetrate, and they have to be quick, and this kid is as quick as it gets. You see that ability to get into backfield, stuff the running back for a loss, and he can also give you that pass rush ability as well. Here he is against Texas, the inside running game. stuffed by Tommy Harris. So he's not just a guy who's one-dimensional. In this defense, poor Lovie Smith got down to Vince Wilfork, 323, 328 pounds, where Tommy Harris just pushed his weight up to 295. I thought Wilfork could have played in this defense. They obviously went the conservative route and got the guy that they know for a fact could be like a Warren Sapp in Tommy Harris.
Well, if he were Warren Sapp, though, athletically, he does have those abilities, but I heard he still didn't make enough plays. For his athleticism, he still could have made more plays.
They rotate. In Oklahoma, they rotate. I thought that was something I agree. They talked about that, but they rotate their defensive lineman in Oklahoma. He's not on the field for as many plays.
Which means he should make more plays when he's on the field.
That's not on the field. They had more opportunities, Morton. I agree. His productivity in terms of tackles wasn't up to the level some expected, but hey, they rotated. That was the style that Bob Stoops believed in, and I think had he been on the field for more plays, I think those numbers would have been elevated. This kid is a heck of a football player, and he's perfect for Lovie Smith.
Well, work for Bob Stoops.
He's going to need to be a heck of a football player because there's a lot of pressure put on that position in the Lovie Smith system. They love to play cover two. That means we don't have safety support. The lineman has to get to the quarterback to make the plays, stop all the running backs at the line of scrimmage. He has to be a great player.
4 defensive linemen, Chris, have not, we said would go pretty high. This is the first of those 4. Wilfork, Will Smith, and Kenichi Udeze still there. Obviously, defensive line, we said all along, the toughest position to evaluate, and the biggest risk factor is defensive linemen. 50% of these guys will disappoint. Offensive tackle, the easiest position to hit on. So those 4 have dropped, but it is a risky spot where you don't have all the answers coming out of college.
I don't know how in Killeen, Texas, and you saw where Tommy was, how they would say with a Texas twang, monsters of the Midway. But they're going to have to learn that. And Susie, I guess you can talk with Tommy Harris, the newest Bear.
Well, Chris, I think the biggest party going on in the country right now is the one going on in Killeen, Texas with Tommy Harris and a cast of thousands there. And as you said, the Oklahoma defensive tackle is now the Chicago Bears defensive tackle. Tommy, how does that sound?
It feels great. You know, the funny thing is that me and Levy, Coach Levy, we prayed about this thing when I was on my recruiting trip. And, you know, I didn't go as high as I go, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So I believe I'm going to do well in the NFL.
Compare for me your expectations for this day and what the reality is like.
It feels great, you know, this is the third one for our family. First Stocker win, then Jerome went, so I'm right behind him. But as long as we keep this ball rolling, and good things going to happen, hopefully.
What advice do you get from your family members about what it's like making this transition from college to the pros?
Just knowing that it's a business, and you got to be ready to play every Sunday. And I'm looking forward to this, and I'm just getting ready to play.
Now, Tommy, I know that you can sing, but we also saw when you were chosen that you also have some pretty good moves dancing, too. How does this feel? How do you express yourself through all of this?
Yeah, that's my dad right there.
Well, now we know where you get it as well, right?
Yeah.
Tommy, how do you think you fit into Lovie Smith's speed and aggressive defensive style?
Oh, Lovie Smith is a lot like, you know, the Tampa Bay. He had Warren Sapp and then D. Lewis in St. Louis. And now he has Tommy Harris at Chicago, and hopefully great things will happen. And I'll tell the NFL one thing, watch out for 97.
You got it, Tommy Harris. Congratulations. Now a member of the Chicago Bears. Well, the 2004 draft has lived up to the hype, perhaps the most dramatic series of events in its 69-year history, and it has been the story of 3 quarterbacks. Eli Manning, chosen #1 by the San Diego Chargers. He maintained his refusal to play, but made the classy but uncomfortable move of holding up the Chargers jersey. At #4, the Giants chose NC State quarterback Phillip Rivers, and then traded Rivers to San Diego along with draft picks. Rivers, the top-rated quarterback in the country. Meantime, Miami of Ohio quarterback Ben Roethlisberger had to wait. Perhaps the most talented physically, chosen by the Pittsburgh Steelers at #11, the first quarterback the Steelers have taken in the first round since Mark Malone in 1980. So a whole lot of offense so far in the draft. 4 wide receivers taken in the first 13, and 3 Miami Hurricanes taken in the top 12. And Tampa Bay is on the clock. And we'll be right back from the theater in Madison Square Garden as the 2004 draft rolls on.
Remember how great the last day of school was? That's what getting away on a Southwest Airlines Fun Fair feels like. These low fares to your favorite vacation spots are available any day of the week and start at just $49.
You are now free to move about the country.
My friends, humankind's mastery of those invisible waves have ushered changes on the land 10 short years ago.
Hello, Betty. It's magic.
My friends, the will to imagine, to create, to invent, to make feel or better.
It's like a tiny silicon brick.
That is our finest legacy.
Moto next.
TJ. Fourth in the running game last year. They're totally reworking this team. Yes, they brought in Charlie Garner, but you think they have to look at a running back, and there's one name out there, Merrill, that has been called the most complete back in the draft. Right. Please fill us in on what we're talking about there.
Well, and the guy's name is Steven Jackson from Oregon State. When you look at him, what makes him a complete back, yes, he is a big, strong, physical guy that can run the football, but it's in the passing game which makes him complete, and is why people love him in the National Football League and know that he can come in and immediately play because he understands blitz pickup. Here's Steven Jackson offset to the left side of the formation. First thing, his head's on a swivel. He's scanning the defense, and you'll see he does a great job of recognizing and reacting to the blitz. Jackson is able to do this because of his understanding of the called protection. Second thing I like, once he reads blitz, he aborts the play fake. Why? Because protection always comes first when you have a blitz pickup responsibility. With his tackle blocking the first linebacker, Jackson, by staying patient, has put himself in position to clean up the garbage. The second linebacker attacking from that side. This is why Jackson will be able to stay on the field. He can execute multiple protection schemes in any down and distance situation. Here's another one. In this turn back protection, with the tackle stepping down to the inside, Jackson is responsible for the first defender who shows up outside the tackle. But Jackson's path is dependent on how hard the tackle is forced to step down to block the defensive front. And he must read this before the snap and adjust his path after the snap. It's about understanding angles so that you're in position to pick up the first threat that shows. There's 20 to 30 different ways to protect, depending on the defensive fronts. Jackson can handle them. He's ready to play now. Now, when you study a running back and you look at the transition to the National Football League, the one thing that I look at Steven Jackson, I study him on tape, he is a stretch runner or a downhill runner. Why is that important? How will he be used? If he goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which would be a great fit for him, that is how you got to use him. He is not a misdirection guy. He doesn't have quick feet. He's a power guy, so he's got to be used in that fashion. And I think John Gruden, if we remember when he was back at the Raiders, remember he was a two tight end, power style running guy, so he will adapt to this guy if it's a guy he goes and gets.
And Merrill, in your playbook, you talked about protection, and that's really, when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that is what they have addressed in the offseason. They basically got rid of the old offensive line, bring in a whole new offensive line, and the other problem they have is lack of speed. And the one thing John Gruden wants to integrate on the offense is speed. It may not be in the first round, but it'll come later in round 2, 3, or 4. He's got to pick up the overall team speed on the offensive side of the ball.
And you know, Steven Jackson has great speed. He's a big guy, but he's got great speed.
Joe's are not completely bereft of speed, because they did get up Joey Galloway in the offseason to finally give him that wide receiver burner that they haven't had forever. But I'll tell you right now, Boomer, some team that's probably very nervous right now with Tampa on the clock and still seeing Steven Jackson is Denver, who traded up to try and get Steven Jackson.
Well, we'll see, Trey. And, fellas, thank you very much. Look, Mike Allstott and Derek Brooks are like the last of the Mohegans. They showed you all the difference in Buccaneers, and from last year to this year, it was a team that admittedly fell out of the Super Bowl championship to a below 500 record, 7-9. Although they're one of like one or two teams who was in the top 10 of offense and defense. But they're talking running backs. Now let's look at our running back board. This is not a draft predominantly filled with running backs, although by the end of the second round, I think you'll see your normal complement going. How do you have the boards?
I think Steven Jackson is the guy. Kevin Jones, Virginia Tech. And I think then you get a debate. Chris Perry, he's certainly a guy who can run, catch, and block, but he's not flashy, not dynamic. Tatum Bell's going to be, I think, the most explosive back in this draft when we look back maybe 3-4 years from now. But overall, Steven Jackson, head and shoulders above. See the ranking there. Kevin Jones, a lot of people have higher than that. I don't. Tatum Bell, I have a lot further up the draft board than some people do. Probably will think third round because he had the fumbling problem. Chris Perry, I'm not as high on as some other people. And I think Greg Jones goes in the second round and not in the first only because of the questionable pass receiving skills. If he caught the ball a little better, Greg Jones would have been a solid lock first-round draft choice, in my opinion.
And we are in a spot here, as they've been talking about, with Tampa Bay, who, by the way, Michael Pittman was sentenced yesterday, had another domestic dispute problem. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail. He is now facing a suspension by the NFL. It would be his second. We know that they lost Thomas Jones to free agency to the Chicago Bears. They do have Charlie Garner, but they need a running back. Could be Steven Jackson. Next, San Francisco 49ers pick. They don't need a running back, but the Eagles might be talking to them about going up there for a running back. Of course, Denver falls behind there, need a running back. No question, this is where Steven Jackson, I think, goes somewhere in this area.
How about Dallas? They need a running back as much as anybody.
Well, Dallas needs a running back.
However, you have for value, well,
you
as
might,
usual,
who's got value?
As usual, Bruce Allen took the full 15 minutes. Here we go.
Receivers have value.
With the 15th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Michael Clayton, wide receiver, LSU.
I can tell you he is one of the names on my list of guys that Bucks were looking at. John Gruden likes big, bad receivers. Go ahead, Mel.
You look at him, you look at that big, he is 6'2.5", he's 210, and I think when you look at the ability that he has, now he doesn't have the incredible vertical jump, he doesn't have the 4.35, the 4.45 speed, but you see the ability there to adjust to the poorly thrown ball. I tell you, you look at the ability after the catch for Michael Clayton, not having the great speed. He is quick, and he is an excellent route runner. Precision and timing. You see the ability to extend to play taller than 6'2.5". You see the cornerback there cannot keep up. Quickness out of his break, the feet, the ability there to separate. He has, and the toughness. Nick Saban thought had he played safety on the defensive side, he could have been an All-American at that spot. Michael Clayton is a talent. Michael Clayton's only weakness, when I went through every category of playing wide receiver, people in the NFL, yes to everything except for the 4.45 speed. He runs in the 4.6 area. Michael Irvin didn't have 4.4 speed. Jerry Rice didn't. A lot of receivers, Terrell Owens didn't. But they were effective and they weren't possession, they were big plays. And all automatically label Michael Clayton a possession receiver because he runs a 4.6 40.
And the thing that you're talking about that he has that makes him a quality wide receiver, he has great body control. He knows how to go in and out of cuts. When I watch him on tape, I was like, woo, he'll do so much better in the pros than he did in college, because in college they're not running routes anymore. But in the pros, he will be a great route runner.
Michael, Rams coach Mike Martz told me that this is the best guy on those in cuts and all those in and out of his routes. Other things that a scout told me about Michael Clayton said that this guy runs through the ball when he catches it. Doesn't put his hands up until the last second. Probably the toughest, best overall football player in this draft was one scout's evaluation of Michael Clayton of LSU.
And those things that you talk about, that means he's a natural receiver. You'll see other receivers that you have to teach them how to catch it, how to run through a football. When you get that guy doing it, when you get a guy doing it at the college level, in the high school level, that means this is what he was born to do.
Good thing they got rid of Keyshawn Johnson so they could take Michael
Clayton.
Get
out of here with that. Go ahead, Maury.
There are now 5 wide receivers. Now 5 wide receivers picked in the first round of the draft. The record in 1 year is 6. Michael's involved with one of those 2 years. We'll wait till 6 comes. We'll put it up there. But, wide receivers going 5 in the first 15, which nowadays is the first half of the draft. Well, we're talking running backs. This is Steven Jackson, the fine running back from Oregon State, at home in Las Vegas, Nevada, waiting the word. We'll be back.
P.J. Brown, and here is a 3 by Wesley.
That's a big shot. Been outscored 6-0 in the third. Miami had owned the third quarter in the first 2 games in Miami. All of a sudden, you push that lead back up to 9.
Miami is shooting 35% from the field. New Orleans has hit 4 3-point shots as Baron Davis has re-entered the bench area. Should come in momentarily outside of bounds and a turnover. Miami now 13 turnovers, coach, and New Orleans 8. Wesley and the go for McClure. Again, he is 0-3. Look at the defensive Odom.
There you go.
First basket tonight.
I used some strength that time. He knew he had the matchup there with Lamar Odom. Brian Grant was not playing, and Brian Grant is stronger than Odom, and he can really bang him off that post. Got to keep going back in there, McClure. Get him involved in this game mentally.
Nobody for Miami is in double figures this afternoon. Butler has got 9. And they go to Grant over McClure. And Brian Grant has got 6 points.
Decision making. And I would ask.
For the series, they are now +8 over a taller New Orleans team. Wesley, another 3! David Wesley can hit that shot as well as anybody in the NBA.
That's why he's so important to this team. They were on their heels. 6-0 run by Miami to cut the lead in half. 2 threes here to push this lead back up to 12.
Wesley 3 of 3 from above the arc today. And here comes Jones. 3 white jerseys around him. Nice defense by New Orleans. Armstrong. Wesley with the fake and Odom. And
Philadelphia trying to trade with San Francisco.
Well, that was a few moments ago. Stephen Henderson right outside of Las Vegas. Stephen Jackson wondering, well, is there going to be a trade? It's been talked about for a week that Philly, maybe there's others, moving up in that San Francisco spot because Philly, remember, Deuce Staley is now a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So although Buckhalter, healthy.
His contract's up after this next year.
And young Brian Westbrook, different type of runner, was tremendous until he got hurt. So who wants you heard already, Trey mentioned, Denver certainly would be in the market for Stephen Jackson. So who might want Stephen Jackson might have to go up and get to San Francisco.
And don't forget that Dennis Erickson loves this guy.
Yes, he does.
He coached this guy.
So?
And Garrison Hurst is gone, but it's not one of those, well, you can argue whether it's a need pick or not. But Dennis Erickson, who coached him at Oregon State, loves Stephen Jackson.
And let's talk about the 49ers quickly, because if they do trade down, are they fast becoming more the Arizona Cardinals of the NFL?
Well, there's no question that there's a lot of criticism of 49ers team president John York, ownership there, that they have basically cut back the budget so far that they are not committed to winning. Of course, John York gets pretty angry when you say that.
Well,
and it's been written, it's been spoken. That is the perception of the 49ers right now.
The perception of the 49ers is that they're not the 49ers. Right? That's the perception. Of course, the 49ers were the best, sorry, Mike, the best for 20 years. And so they go into this season with Tim Rattay at quarterback, Ken Dorsey from the U of Miami, backup. We might see him, but that's not, at least right now, in the lineage of Montana, Young, and even go on to Garcia. So the 49ers, look, the coaching is, there's no perception that they have a bad coach. They got a good coach in Dennis Erickson, but they need to stop the slide quickly. So let's see what happens with a pick or with a trade. Now we're going to Sal in across the river in New York.
Hey, Len.
Heavy between the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles want to get from 28 to 16, perhaps targeting Stephen Jackson because they lost Deuce Staley in free agency. They only have Correll Buckhalter, and don't forget Brian Westbrook was lost at the end of the season due to an injury. They could be interested in getting depth at linebacker, maybe DJ Williams of the University of Miami. But I was just on the phone with Joel Siegel, the agent for Will Smith, the defensive end from Ohio State. And Joel Siegel told me that Will Smith is on the phone with the 49ers right now, and the 49ers may be prepared to take him, Boomer.
Well, why not? I mean, that's one of those, that'd be a smart pick for San Francisco. Look, they are not on the front wall what they once were. Young Andre Carter is a heck of a player. Bryant Young, one of the great warriors of the National Football League.
This pick has been traded. Huh? This pick has been traded.
Oh, well. So they were on the phone, but they hung up.
They hung
Is that
up.
what you're telling me?
That's correct. I saw some Eagle fans jumping up, maybe in anticipation, but the trick has been traded. And so it is going to be the Stephen Jackson pick for somebody I would expect, especially with Denver sitting behind this slot, knowing that Denver is looking at running back as one of the positions they are trying to improve. This is a spot. If you want Stephen Jackson, you probably had to go get him.
Well, there's a trade as they work it out down there. Let's see who else other. Well, we mentioned Dallas, who could use a running back. Philadelphia certainly would be interested in a running back. And it is Philadelphia.
Well, who do we think it's going to be?
I had that.
You do have that. Oh, we talked about Correll Buckhalter. This is a guy who has gone through a major injury. He has got a contract that he's up with.
Here it is. Here's a trade.
It's got to be.
Here's a trade.
With the 16th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, acquired by trade from the 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles select Sean Andrews, offensive tackle from Arkansas.
I love it. Hey, let me tell you something. Well, this is.
You better talk about this pick.
No, this is a very interesting pick. This is Sean Andrews, is the University of Arkansas tackle. Some people thought he'd be a top 10 pick, but he had weight issues. But the Philadelphia Eagles, with John Runyon, with Trey Thomas, clearly have surprised some people, even though he's one of the names on a list of players that I had there. Sean Andrews is a guy who was coveted by the Miami Dolphins. The Dallas Cowboys may have tried to trade up to take a look at Sean Andrews. But there are some disappointed teams that were hoping Sean Andrews would fall to them. Heck of a tackle.
Well, certainly the Denver Broncos now, maybe, I tell you look at Steven Jackson, a little relieved. You don't know how they felt about Steven Jackson, but Denver certainly had moved up from 24-17. You would have thought they get themselves in the mix for the linebacker, running back, or wide receiver. Now all of a sudden, Sean Andrews goes to the Eagles, the consummate right tackle. Look at that, Robert Gallery being the top left tackle by far. Sean Andrews the top right tackle. His weight has been estimated to be upwards of around 350, 355, 360. Well, it's been down recently to about 340, 345. That helped Sean Andrews. You look at what he did as a track athlete, shot put, discus in high school. Those are skills that you can utilize very effectively in the NFL at offensive tackle. With the ability to get the running game going. This kid is a road grader. He's one of the best right tackles in terms of dominating as a run blocker to come out in years. I think the ability for a guy like Sean Andrews to keep his weight at the level necessary. He's going to balloon up to 360, 370. Will he manage that weight properly? That will go a long way into determining the length of his career and just how long he can play at a Pro Bowl level, which you know Philadelphia, who was upwardly mobile last year, and what they moved up last year to get Jerome McDougal. They are aggressive again. Andy Reid is moving up to get Sean Andrews. McDougal did not pay dividends at defensive end. Now all of a sudden you have Sean Andrews coming in. Pressure's on Westbrook and Buckhalter because they passed up an opportunity to get a Steven Jackson.
Boy, he's such a player. When you talk to people like you said, and I talk to guys like in Dallas, they love this guy. Reminded them a lot of Larry Allen, who's thinking about leaving Dallas. But he's the kind of guy that once he puts his hands on you, his hands are on you. Don't worry about going
He's got great feet. Now, this is a guy who admits and admitted at the Indianapolis Scouting Combine that he was up to 401 pounds and blaming in part the severe sinus problem. He fell off some teams' boards, dropped a little bit because he skipped the last bowl game with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Some people thought that was a character flaw, but he's a great personality, and by some people's accounts, think he could be equal to Robert Gallery. The difference being he has played right tackle in college instead of left tackle.
Well, John Wellborn went on the radio this week and blasted the Eagles and start numbering those days. The trade, and it's not for Steven Jackson, it is the Eagles give up their second-round pick late in the round, but so the 49ers pick up an extra second-round pick. Look, San Francisco needs players, so there's something that they can do about it. They did that. I'm surprised that Andrews was the guy for Philly, but now Denver, if they want Steven Jackson, which I think they do, will have a chance to pick a running back to fill the slot vacated by Clinton Portis.
Sean Andrews will enter the NFL as a physically dominating offensive tackle. His size and strength can be imposing to opponents. But to the people in his community, he is simply a big man with an even bigger heart. He generously volunteers his free time to speak to the elementary students and plays the role of big brother to foster children. Because, as Sean knows, with a little help, they can also achieve more than they ever thought possible. At Microsoft, we see your potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
Well, there's Steven Jackson at home outside of Las Vegas. As we saw him for a minute. Wondering if he will be the next pick. His dad a higher up at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. That's why he is there. Here is the Denver spot. However, do keep in mind that nobody is better that drafting a running back later in the draft,
that's right,
and making him a star, or having the correctly scouted, like Terrell Davis, just to name one, than Mike Shanahan of the Broncos. So, do they go running back or not?
Well, they have linebacker need as well. With Mobley's
We'll
injury
see.
situation, Ian Gold's injury situation, Chris, linebacker, running back are definitely
With
need
the
areas.
17th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select DJ Williams, linebacker, University of Miami.
Just as Mel was just talking about, John Mobley, Ian Gold, you have those problems there, and linebacker was a need. Running back, wide receiver, linebacker were the need for the Broncos. Let's say something about Mike Shanahan real quick before we get to this. Mike Shanahan has been a masterful offensive coach in this league for a long time. Since they've won the 2 Super Bowls, when John Elway left and Terrell Davis got hurt, he has seen the New England Patriots and defense in this league dominate. Thus, Clinton Portis gets traded for a Champ Bailey, and they take a DJ Williams here over a Steven Jackson. It tells you that he knows his defense has got to become more dominant to get back to the Super Bowl.
And overall, I think Mort finding players in the first round. You go back to Deltha O'Neal, disappointment. He's now in Cincinnati. Willie Middlebrooks was a bust. And you look at George Foster last year, still coming around. I think you look at this particular player, DJ Williams, a little bit risky because of this reason. He was a former running back coming into Miami. Certainly when you look at what he did at the high school level, was an outstanding player on both sides of the ball, but a running back, fullback, initially fullback at Miami, turns out to be a weak side linebacker, can play on the strong side or the weak side in the National Football League at 6'1", 250. Speed, that's his forte. Certainly a great athlete. Is he as instinctive as Vilma? No, he's not. Does he sift through traffic like Vilma? No, he doesn't. So I think DJ Williams is still a work in progress because of the fact he was, as I said early in his career, at Miami a running back. Does he have upside? Does he have talent? Yes, he does. But you'd have to say he's a roll of the dice this early. He played against top competition. That's the play he makes against Rand Carthon and the Florida Gators. But a guy that I think, when you compare, and everybody tried to compare and contrast Vilma, DJ Williams. DJ Williams bigger at 6'1", 250. Vilma 6'1", 225. But instinctively, Vilma got to the football, I thought, a lot better than DJ, and that's why Vilma went a little higher. They need him with Gold's situation injury-wise and Mobley more. But this is a pick that I think when we look back, we'll have to see how he develops in the NFL if he's coached up at the linebacker position.
And we have speculated hard about Steven Jackson being the guy here, the Oregon State running back being the guy right here, certainly no later than here. But Steven Jackson did not feel good about Denver, had not heard from the Denver Broncos in over more than 24 hours, and actually had more contact with the Denver media than the organization itself. So he had a read that the Broncos weren't as hot to try about as you think. And of course, you mentioned Shanahan has success at finding running backs in later rounds.
He told Mike Shanahan says there are 10 running backs that he likes in this draft. I'm sure Jackson was one of them, but there's 10 of them. You're going to get one. I mean, they're going to pick a running back, but obviously just not here in round number 1. The Denver Broncos, we're going to get back to Philly, by the way, shortly because they came up quickly. We're going to hear from Coach Andy Reid shortly, and then we'll debate Philadelphia on whether they have put the final pieces to the Super Bowl puzzle. The Denver Broncos. Obviously, the last time, the Colts just scored again, if I go back to the playoff game. So it's apparent the defense with the linebacker and with Champ Bailey, they're going at least somewhere that they know that they're not stellar.
Yeah, and it surprises me. I hear you mention the trade. Never do I give up the trade, Clinton Portis, for Champ Bailey. Never do I make that trade. I don't give up a possible 25 touchdowns for a cornerback that may give me one, especially in the AFC West where there are no big-time wide receivers that you have to set down. But DJ Williams is a great pick. He's a great pick-up because he just has such speed, and he has the attitude. He brings an attitude, a winning attitude from the University of Miami.
Mike Shanahan has had success, as we keep hammering here, at finding running backs in later rounds. He has not had success at finding a shutdown corner, and he has tried, and Champ Bailey is proven, and that trade to me made sense, even though it's been criticized by plenty of folks.
You mentioned running backs, and Mike Shanahan's confidence he can find one. You go back, and we're up at the pick number 18 right now in New Orleans. They have Deuce, and some of these other teams now have running backs. Dallas probably keeping their fingers crossed. They could have an opportunity, and they have their pick. 2003, Willis McGahee went 23rd. 2002, William Green went 16th. We're beyond that now. And in 1984, Greg Bell went 26th to Buffalo after they had traded down with Miami. Doesn't happen that often in the NFL draft where a running back, the first running back, is not off the board until this point in the first round. This will be the third lowest point that a running back has ever gone.
And certainly not 3 years in a row. I mean, 3 years in a row, which is interesting. All right, we said we get to Philadelphia. Our Coors Light video conference We bring in the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that would be Andy Reid. And Andy, you made the trade with San Francisco. You just like those big guys, don't you, Sean Andrews? You just can't stay away from them.
Well, I know one thing, Boomer. You win with the offensive defensive line, and I think that's very important, and we needed to address it, and we did.
Is this something that, look, I mean, a need in the first round? I mean, how do you see this shuffling out? And, of course, you had a little issue with Wellborn this week, who went out and publicly trashed the team.
Yeah, this didn't have anything to do with Wellborn, but it did have a lot to do with what the Philadelphia Eagles want to get done, not only now but in the future. And we needed an offensive lineman in the mix. We haven't taken one up there for a while, and it needed to be done.
Andy, obviously, just to hit on this a little bit more, you have John Runyon and Trey Thomas at your tackles. We have seen a Leonard Davis come into this league and play guard. Is Sean Andrews going to play guard? Is John Runyon going to play guard? What's going to happen here?
Mort, it's absolutely right that he can play offensive guard, and I have no problem putting him in that position, and we'll give him an opportunity there this year.
Andy, you guys have loaded up for the big run. Terrell Owens, Javon Curse. Let's go one by one. Terrell Owens, he at the Pro Bowl certainly was on your sideline, and Donovan McNabb was with him all week. Clearly wanted to come to Philadelphia. What made you know that Terrell Owens will be the great receiver, but not be Terrell Owens a distraction? What made you know that?
Well, the one thing I know about Terrell is he's a good person, and I thought that was number one on the list. And then I love his ambition and the way he plays football, the way he attacks the game and the sport, and that's welcomed. And he has a great relationship with Donovan McNabb, so I put that into the factor also.
Yeah, they might hook up a couple of times. Javon Curse, we know what he can do when he's healthy. Pass rusher extraordinaire. His health obviously didn't worry you when you made the deal. But his durability's got to be some concern. What made you know that he'll have a healthy year?
Well, I'll tell you what, our team docs and Rick Burkholder, our trainer, did a great job of analyzing his situation. We're a little bit familiar with it with Derek Burgess's foot. We felt great about Javon. What an energy he'll bring to that defense.
Well, you have energy with Javon Curse. You got energy with Terrell Owens. You got a big guy like you and me who you just drafted in the first round. We'll talk with you later. Thank you.
All right, Boomer.
All right, so 8, the Eagles are loading up. I mean, there's no mistake about that, as they should in their position. New Orleans is on the clock. We can talk more Philly in a moment. The New Orleans Saints.
They got to get a corner here. Another Ohio State guy, Chris Gamble. It's about time. Ahmad Carroll of Arkansas. They need a corner.
With the 18th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Will Smith, defensive end, Ohio State.
Ohio State is what they need.
Right. Well, they got the fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Chris, I'll tell you what, he dropped a lot further. I think about 8th, 9th on the board. He drops all the way down to the New Orleans Saints at 18. They, again, for the second straight year, passed up a cornerback. They passed up Marcus Trufant last year to take Jonathan Sullivan. Now they pass up Chris Gamble to take Will Smith. You talk about value, it's the best value I've seen so far in round 1. As I said, 8th on the board. You look at Will Smith, consistent throughout his career. People say, well, he's not dominant. Well, I'll tell you what, game in and game out, he showed up ready to play. Consistent football player week after week. Has that mean streak you look for. I'll tell you what, from a quickness standpoint, you line him wide off that edge in the right defensive structure. This kid can be a guy who gets you maybe 12, 15 sacks a year. He was a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten. Well, up against an elite offensive tackle, both in practice and in games, and more than held his own. People say, hey, Gallery gave him trouble. Well, Robert Gallery's going to give a lot of people trouble, but I think you look at Will Smith at this stage of round 1, and really yesterday when I did the final first-round projection board, I think going 19 to Minnesota just looked like, because of needs and things that were happening, that he could drop. But surprisingly, goes to New Orleans again. As I said, second straight year, cornerback available, and they pass on the corner to take a defensive line.
Well, one way to compensate for a weak secondary is to get a pass rush going. They are loading up on that defensive line, no question about it.
I think they just did not want to make you right, Mel. That's all. They didn't want to make Mel right. They took Will Smith. No, it's a good
Let me say this, Michael. Jim Haslett called me out last year when they took Sullivan over, and he said, hey, I feel a lot better than our corners than you do. And I think he was referring to me because I came out strongly about Trufant. So again, like you said, pass rush over secondary.
Here is the most important part of this pick. Will Smith goes to the Saints. The Saints wear black. Will Smith is truly Men in Black. I think it's perfect. Minnesota's next. Miami's after that.
All right, Boomer.
Then the Super Bowl champion Patriots, and we'll be back.
Hi, I'm Eli Manning. You're watching the 2004 NFL Draft on ESPN.
Yeah! Kings are on the clock. Scary news for anybody in the state of Minnesota. Will they get the pick on time? They have failed to do so the last 2 years. Mike Tice may be going for the hat trick. Welcome back to the EA NFL matchup. Trey Wingo here with Merrill Hodge and Ron Jaworski. Again, here's what we've got set up so far as we wait for Minnesota to make their pick. We've had 3 quarterbacks taken. We've had 5 wide receivers taken, 1 shy of the record for a first round. But we have had the donut when it comes to running back, 0. And look at the next 4 picks, guys, and the starting running backs on these squads. Minnesota looks like they're set with Michael Bennett. Without hair, Miami is pretty set with Ricky Williams. The Patriots make the big trade for Corey Dillon, and sitting there at 22, the Dallas Cowboys, who may actually literally be salivating at the idea of having Steven Jackson fall into their laps. Perhaps no team benefiting more, guys, from Denver not taking Steven Jackson than the Dallas Cowboys, who desperately need a running back. Take a look at Steven Jackson. Cannot believe a few moments ago that Denver didn't take him. This is perfect for Bill Parcells, isn't it?
You know, and we talked already about Steven Jackson, the style of runner he is. He would have fit perfect in Denver because he's a stretch runner. He's a downhill runner. But if you look at where the Dallas Cowboys could be in this position, he fits Bill Parcells because he is a nasty runner. He's a downhill runner. Bill Parcells will cater his running game to fit Steven Jackson. I would expect Steven Jackson to go with the Dallas Cowboys. Troy Hambrick, that guy.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, man, you know what? Just study him tape all year. The guy ran out of bounds. The guy quit on runs. You cannot have that as your feature back. Steven Jackson won't run out of bounds.
You know, and don't forget Kevin Jones in this situation, too. Another, athletic back that could also help. But clearly, when you look at Dallas, it's an area they must attack. And you know the other area they have attacked in the offseason? The quarterback position. Right. I think they've done a real nice job getting Drew Henson. I went back and looked at every pass he threw in 2000. If I would have been projecting Drew Henson this year, he would have been my #1 pick. So I think Dallas has a quarterback of the future. Now they got an opportunity to get a running back of the future. They could be in good shape.
Drew Henson, 4 years since he's played, football, which that is
certainly that is a concern.
Fair enough, but if he had come out a couple of years ago, a lot of people had him projected higher than David Carr, who went #1 overall to the Houston Texans. For more on this, let's bring in Ed Werder. Ed, what are you hearing?
Well, Trey, Steven Jackson is a player that Bill Parcells has consistently spoken very highly about. And last week, he actually got on the phone with Steven Jackson. He expressed to Jackson a vast knowledge of his career, told him he was really impressed with the way he played. Clearly, he's much more of an inside tackle-breaking type of runner than a Kevin Jones, who was probably the #2 back on the Cowboys board. This is certainly a position the Cowboys never expected to be in. They couldn't have imagined things falling this way. In fact, I know that at various times in the last week, they have talked to the Chicago Bears about trying to go up as high as 14 to try to get maybe the 2nd running back. But now it looks very much like they're going to be able to substantially improve a running game that last year featured Troy Hambrick failing to gain as a replacement for Emmitt Smith 1,000 yards in the season. In fact, there were 9 games last season where Troy Hambrick failed to average 3 yards per carry. Back to you, Boom.
All right, Ed, thank you very much. Miami and Minnesota have made a trade. Now you could say Minnesota wanted to buy more time on the clock. I mean, you could say that, right? I know it's not fair, but you could say it. But Miami and Minnesota's going to pick up something. We don't have the details yet. Remember, 2 years in a row, Minnesota had clock management problems. Last year, we saw the speed rarely timed by the guys sitting at that table down there. The guys were running 4 340s with their cards. 3 or 4 teams passing over Minnesota, making the pick. Well, Mike Tyson's not going to miss the pick, but he's now below Miami. So the Dolphins are on the board. Look, here's another team that feels, boy, how do we not make a run? They have some things to address at quarterback. Yes, they got Feely from Philadelphia along to go with Fiedler. They changed a majority of their offensive line. Clearly, other than Ricky Williams and Chambers, a couple receivers, some offensive changes. What do we see?
With the 19th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, acquired from the Minnesota Vikings, the Miami Dolphins select Vernon Carey, guard from the University of Miami.
All right, first question. Well, all right, we'll talk about the player first. Did they have to come up to do that? Although they need to change their offensive line. It was clearly a weakness last year.
When Sean Andrews went off the board, Vernon Carey just went up in value. In fact, the Minnesota Vikings liked Vernon Carey over Sean Andrews.
Okay.
So the Dolphins went up and had to get this guy. That was the greatest need.
The thing about Vernon Carey is more versatility. He played guard. Of course, he had the ankle injury as a senior, which hampered him. But as a junior at right tackle, and you think about McIntosh and St. Clair coming over, big question marks about right tackle. You have Wade Smith over on the left side. You have Whitley at the one guard spot. You have McKinney at center. And then you have Geno James coming over from Carolina. Good acquisition at the other guard spot. But now all of a sudden you get a right tackle in Carey, who, as I said, as a junior, MVP on the offensive side in 5 games that junior year against Florida State, Florida, Virginia Tech, and Pitt. Battle-tested against top competition. As I said, had that ankle injury. He even played left tackle, filled in for Bryant McKinney against Virginia Tech when McKinney got hurt in that game. He's played all 4 spots on the offensive line except for center. As Mort mentioned, at Miami, he'll be in that mix with McIntosh, St. Clair for that starting right tackle job in a completely restructured offensive line.
Let's look at the Dolphins and all the pressure on Dave Wanstead. That's an offense that has been under fire. We know they have A.J. Feely in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. They did this in the offseason. Jay Fiedler still in the competition there. But they added David Boston to the mix at wide receiver along with Chris Chambers. Now you got Ricky Williams. Now you fix this offensive line. All of a sudden, they might talk offense about the Dolphins if A.J. Fiedler or Jay Fiedler step up.
And it's a good pick for Miami. I'm a little surprised that I didn't see Dallas trying to jockey more for position and get Stephen Davis. Like you said, maybe he falls. Steven Jackson, maybe he falls at Dallas, right where they're sitting. But they.
You worried about the Cowboys or something?
I am. I'm already circling the Cowboys. Hey, listen, I live in Dallas. I'm circling that pick right now.
A couple other things to remember about Miami. They acquired the troubled, and I don't know what else to say, David Boston, wide receiver who was nowhere close last year in San Diego, who's had good seasons in Arizona,
who's back
but
with
they tried him. All right? A note on Miami. Their cold weather games, they don't have any this year. They're at Buffalo early. They're at the Jets early. They're at New England early. Just throw that out there. They've always had trouble in the cold. They don't have any this year of those divisional cold weather games on the road past early November. We'll come back with the Vikings on the clock. An interesting phenomenon.
We put 25.
All right, so Minnesota's on the clock. You got to give Viking fans the nod. They're all looking at their watch. They vow that the 3rd year there will not be a clock malfunction. Here's the pick.
With the 20th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Kenichi Udeze, defensive end, Southern California.
Kenichi Udeze from the University of Southern California, the national champs, the co-champs, and he went down a little bit, Mel, right, because of injury, correct?
A shoulder injury, Chris, final regular season game against Oregon State. Questions about that when you get the leads leading up to the draft the last 2-3 weeks going up to April 24th today. And I think when you look at Kenichi Udeze, a defensive tackle, got his weight down to be a defensive man, and a guy that I thought was disruptive behind the line of scrimmage. Look at his numbers. You're talking about 26 tackles for loss, 16.5 sacks, and you caused 5 fumbles. That means you're getting in that backfield, you're creating a disturbance, and you're doing a job there as he did tackling Julius Jones, who had a great year for Notre Dame at the running back spot there. Not only back down the pass, come away with the INT. Here's against Washington off the left side, beats the right tackle, gets in for the sack, and creates a turnover. This kid is looking to strip the football any chance he gets. They're sacking John Navarre, getting the best of a very good Michigan offensive line. Go up against good players in practice and in games. When you look at Kenichi Udeze, I thought he could go as early as Jacksonville at 9. He drops down to Minnesota. I thought Will Smith could be able. He went to New Orleans 1 pick above, so I think Mike Tice was, keeping his fingers crossed that one of those defensive ends would be there. And there, of course, he sacks Derek Anderson, makes a play there against Chris Perry. Look at the talent of the players he's making plays against at running back and quarterback and who he's going up against on the offensive line. If it wasn't for that shoulder injury, he may have gone a little bit earlier. As I said, once projected maybe 9th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mel, and in fact, that shoulder injury, it's a torn labrum or it's a labrum injury. And there are some teams that are saying he's going to need surgery at some point, and it did scare them. But it is something that can be surgically corrected, and it doesn't have to end your season. And this is a guy that Mike Tyson was just praying would fall to them. In the Metrodome, with that noise, on AstroTurf, they have become even more of a dominant whole team with this guy rushing the passer.
And you know what their problem was on D? They were one of the slower teams in the league. Now, I don't imply that ESPN's Corey Chavis, who also is a Pro Bowl safety for the Minnesota Vikings, who's with Andrea right now, I don't imply that he's one of those guys, but I'd like to get his thoughts on a new quick teammate up front. Andrea?
Thanks, Chris. And I just want you to know that when you said they were sort of slow on defense, Corey went, ooh. Chris Berman's right, though. You need to add speed. What does Udeze do to that end?
Well, I mean, he does a lot. I mean, obviously, I think he uses his hands better than most of the defensive linemen coming out this year. And the best thing about Udeze, I think, is the fact that his work ethic improved so much while he was in school. He lost all the weight. He proved that he was determined to be one of the best in the Pac-10. And obviously, it was a big reason why they won the national championship.
Now, we know the Vikings got off to the strong 6-0 start, a lot on the strength of turnovers from your defense, but then really almost collapsed down the stretch, the entire team. What does the defense need to do to pick up the slack, especially with that prolific offense that you have?
Well, I just think we need to be overall more consistent. And I think when you bring somebody in like Antoine Winfield, you got to credit our personnel department and our coaching staff for identifying that. He's a guy who can add a lot of energy to your defense, and you don't go through those types of lulls when you have somebody who I think gets the crowd into it. He's a big-time hitter, and I think people will enjoy watching him play in Minnesota. And I think that's probably one of the bigger reasons. You also were able to pick up Martin, and now you pick up Udeze. I think overall you've certainly improved your talent level, and that's what you have to do to be successful.
What other needs do you think the Vikings have at this point in the draft?
Well, I think that's something that Scott Studwell and Frank Gilliam and Coach Tyson and the rest of our personnel department have a lot better feel about. They do a great job. Last year they did an excellent job, I think, of identifying the best players available throughout the draft, and all of our players were able to contribute. If you look at each one of our guys that we drafted in the 7 rounds, each one of those guys contributed. Even our 7th rounder, Keenan Howery, was our starting punt returner. So if we continue to get the depth like we've gotten so far, adding somebody like Udeze, I think we're going to be in good shape.
And the best news, of course, they made the pick on time. The NFL draft will continue from New York. The New England Patriots are on the clock. Please stay with us.
TJ! What's your blind side, rookie?
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
And wipe that smile off your face.
Cracked cranium. $10 copay.
Aye, aye. Provided by Motorola. Motorola will provide a voice to the fans on ESPN.com. Log on to Ask Mel a question, and it might even get on in our You've Got Mel segment.
All right, welcome back to New York. Just let me clean up one thing. By Minnesota dropping down 1 and allowing Miami to pick ahead of them, they got a 4th-round pick. Now, the only team with 2 first-round picks happen to be the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. This involved with the Kyle Bowler orchestrations last year. So this is the pick that was originally owned by the Baltimore Ravens. The New England Patriots, what do they do lately? Well, they won 15 games in a row to win the Super Bowl. They have 6 picks in the first 4 rounds. And oh, by the way, this past week, the 2nd-round pick, they acquired Corey Dillon, one time the single-game record holder for yards rushed in a game. So a New England Patriots team, which you say, boy, how could you win 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years without a big-time running back? Corey Dillon certainly could be that. So here's a team that's won 15 straight. They got 2 first-round picks, although I'm not sure that the phone lines aren't burning right now. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they are. But there are a couple. They don't need anything, but there's a player or two that's kind of popped down. Well, let's go to New England first.
Well, when I look at a need, and you're right, I mean, Corey Dillon, if Corey Dillon comes through for them, then it's a wonderful thing. But they did lose Ted Washington.
Yes. Big run
and we are looking at Vince Wilfork, the University of Miami defensive tackle, who's a 340-pound type guy. He would seem to fit beautifully here. But you also, we talked about running backs have fallen. Dallas is sitting right behind New England. Anybody who wants a running back probably has to go through New England right now, or else Dallas gets the pick of guys like Steven Jackson of Oregon State and Kevin Jones of Virginia Tech. That's the scenario right now.
And we were debating all along, the Patriots were, what running back could slide to 21? Will Steven Jackson be there? Will Kevin Jones be there? Well, they're both there. And I think that's probably surprising to Bill Belichick and Scott Pioli that those running backs are still there. But you mentioned the defense, the back seven. You look at the linebacking core, 4 of those linebackers over 30 years of age. The secondary, 3 of those 4 over 30. And, of course, the only young kid is the second-round pick last year, Eugene Wilson. So I think age on defense is becoming a factor, and they want to go with some more youth in the back seven on the defensive side. Keep in mind, they did take Ty Warren in the first round last year on the defensive line out of Texas A&M, and added Rodney Bailey as well, Chris, for a late-round pick on the defensive line.
Let me just throw out one thing, because, look, now they can pick the best player that they have, and there's another player that's fallen some. I'm not exactly sure where they are on this. And 2 years ago, they used the number 1 at tight end to pick Graham. But there's Ben Troop, who's there, who on some boards might have been gone by now. Might have, okay? So, Mel, let's look at your names. And, this is something they could do. It won't be gamble, all right?
It won't be gamble? What about guys like Ahmad Carroll of Arkansas, another corner? If you're trying to get younger in the back seven, the linebackers are gone. They might have looked at a linebacker, wouldn't they?
Sure, they would, but they're pretty good on the outside where they are right now with McGinnis and Vrabel and Roosevelt Colvin, who didn't play 1 down for them last year. That's like getting a new player also this coming year.
Keep in mind, Rodney Bailey comes over as well, so I think they have done some things to fortify that front seven on defense. They'd like to do a little more, and I think right now, has the board fallen properly for the Patriots? Is the right guy there? The 2 Miami linebackers are already off the board. You talk about a hot guy right now. And I know there's some teams that are saying the last Miami Hurricane of the 6 is Vince Wilfork, still on the board. This kid is an athletically gifted 328-pounder, Chris, a heck of a talent. And a defensive tackle with that kind of ability normally is not there this late in round 1.
One thing you can say, he's possibly Big Ted Washington's one of the best run stoppers in this league. He could possibly be a more athletic Ted Washington and allow.
You're talking about Vince Wilfork.
I'm talking about Vince Wilfork.
Well, one thing,
it could be great for New England.
One thing about Bill Belichick we should note here, and Scott Pioli, the vice president of player personnel of the Patriots.
And executive of the year.
And executive of the year by the Sporting News and vote of his peers. They like to stockpile picks for the following draft to reset their draft. So if they are talking to teams, it would be a surprise if it didn't involve getting a draft pick next year so they can start stockpiling again.
They might have gone up. They might have spent a third to going up, but they could go down and then pick something else up. They got 3.5 minutes to go. Let's go quickly to Ed Werder, because it's the next 2 on the clock, Ed, if I'm not mistaken. New England, Dallas, Belichick, Parcells. What do we got?
Well, the interesting potential thing is here that only the Patriots now stand in front of Dallas getting its choice of any running back in the entire draft. And I was told by Cowboys people that they can't discount the possibility that even though they signed Corey Dillon, they should not assume that the Patriots are, quote, out of the running back business. Now, it's possible, given the acrimonious relationship, or at least the estrangement between Belichick and Parcells, once very close, once sharing a Super Bowl title, that perhaps Belichick would call the Cowboys, perhaps on a bluff, and ask them if they would give up a pick so that he wouldn't take Steven Jackson, Boomer, and allow the Cowboys to have their choice of any running back they want.
Well, I'm sure, Ed, that's a possibility. They know each other's phone number, I would think. But, I mean, look, if Michael tipped on it, and we all did, there were a couple of names that might have fallen for a variety of reasons. But Ted Washington was such a huge part of that run defense last year. Okay, let me just tell you something about, if you look at the statistics in the Super Bowl, Ted Washington, no tackles, no assists. Then put on the film of that Super Bowl.
That's true, Boo.
And you watch,
That's true.
He had like 45 assists, but not in the true sense of the word. Now, he's a member of the Raiders. They really would like that, and so, as you guys have all talked about, with Vince Wilfork sitting there, I think they're a little surprised, but I think, and in terms of 10 minutes worth of calls, but let's make the move. Let's go. Let's go with the Wilfork. That's what I think they'll do.
In terms of the Cowboys worrying about the running back and Steven Jackson, it's just going to depend how much higher is their grade on Steven Jackson over Kevin Jones of Virginia Tech. I think that would determine what the Cowboys' attitude right now.
Let me say this, Mort. I have Steven Jackson ahead of Kevin Jones, but there are some teams out there that do feel that Kevin Jones is the best running back in this draft. He's an athletically gifted kid, plays faster than he times, and a guy that hit a lot of home runs at Virginia Tech. And I think from a completeness standpoint, Steven Jackson may be a little bit better at this stage, but there are teams in the National Football League that do like Kevin Jones over Steven Jackson.
How about this size? If Wilfork becomes a good player, if they pick him, they might. And if Ty Warren, last year's #1, big guy up front, and Richard Seymour,
Pro Bowl,
boy,
you have
boy, isn't that pretty formidable up front on defense? By the way, he's a good defensive coach.
With Teddy Bruschi roaming around there, you better believe it's formidable.
Let's go to the commissioner and see what the Super Bowl champion Patriots will do.
With the 21st pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Vince Wilfork, defensive lineman, University of Miami.
Good. That's good.
Really?
Is
The rich get richer. That's what it is. The rich get richer.
Who's done the drafts better than them lately?
Well, it's not only that, though. There are teams that if you sit down at the bottom of the draft, everybody says, oh, we're never going to get a player. Players always fall. Udeze fell to the Minnesota Vikings. Wilfork has fallen to the New England Patriots. But it's not such a terrible area to be drafting
Right,
in.
but players pan out towards the bottom of the draft. Players like Wilfork, because they go to a program where the pros teach them how to be pros. This is how we work. That's what would be great.
What are you talking about?
He's a big guy. In New England, they will teach him how to become a professional football player, and he won't have a weight problem because in New England, they work hard. Mike Warson, the strength and conditioning coach there, will have him ready.
And Michael, you look at Keith Traylor and you compare Vince Wilfork to Traylor, short arms, and he'll miss a tackle every now and then because of that. But I'll tell you what, athletically gifted. His weight was estimated to be 350, what have you, 355, 360. He was 323 at the combine, 320-23 during his individual, then 328 a few weeks before the draft. So he's maintained that weight at a level which can maximize his ability in the NFL. 6'1.5", a kid who ran in the 4.98 to 5.03 range. And I'll tell you what, you go back to this year, Florida game, 8 tackles and a sack, 6 hurries, and a fumble recovery against Florida State. Productive, and I think what a lot of people really like about Vince Wilfork is this. You talk about stamina and durability. He was on the field for 55, 58 plays in a lot of games, more than Tommy Harris was. And I think people look at that weight and say it's a concern, but I'll tell you what, he showed stamina. He played into the fourth quarter, didn't wear down. Miami of Florida now with 6 first-round draft. I believe that's 19 over the last 4 years.
Here it is. Let's just go down this and we'll continue. So, Mike, the Miami Hurricanes with 19 first-round picks, as Mel mentioned, in the last 4 years, 6 today, breaking the record of last year. Brian McKenzie, Jeremy Shockey, Philip Buchanan, Ed Reed, and Mike Rome. At 1968 USC with Ron Yeri, now a Hall of Famer, Mike Taylor, Tim Rosevich, who ate glass bottles, Mike Hull, and wide receiver Earl McCullough. This is a new record for Miami. All right, so off New England for a minute. How can they not win the national title every year with 19 guys in the first 4?
They win most of the time, except when they're taking them from us in Ohio State.
Well, I have told this story before in the last couple of years. When Butch Davis left the University of Miami to go become the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, I asked him, was it a tough decision? He said, Chris, a very tough decision, because I know based on the recruiting we have done here at Miami, I'm leaving maybe 3 national championships right here in Miami to go coach in the NFL.
You know, I forgot about Traylor, too. So Wilfork is called Baby Shaq, right? Miami, that's his nickname, Baby Shaq. Keith Traylor is Baby Ted. So if a couple of babies grow up real fast.
Big babies.
Like New England, and they still got another first-round pick. The Cowboys next. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Miami is leading in rebounding this afternoon by 6. Neither team has a foul to give.
Well, normally you would think they would run something for Baron Davis. How healthy is he, #1? And they've got Eddie Jones on him, their best perimeter defender.
And Stacey Augmon has it with Davis, McGlure, Brown, and Wesley. That's the 5 for New Orleans. Into Stacey Augmon. A reverse. Rebound, McGlure. And he's hacked as he goes up with 55 seconds to play.
When you go to the basket now late in this game, you better check your dentures, because everything is being contested. Stacey Augmon took the ball to the other side of the basket. Looked like he got cracked right across the face. And McGlure just goes strong to the basket. Now, Jamal McGlure is an excellent free throw shooter. This year, at one point in time, he had made 22 in a row.
And today, very good. 4 of 4. And now 5 of 5. Hornets 15 of 19 from the free throw line, and Miami is 18 of 23.
See what Rafer Alston just ran in and told the official, if we rebound the basketball, we want a timeout. So if there's any congestion or anything, what they want to be able to do is know that they want an immediate timeout if it's a missed free throw.
Timeout Miami. 55 seconds to play in regulation. Tim. Today after getting blown out in game 2 by 30.
We've had 21 first-round picks. We have now at number 22 the Dallas Cowboys, who have about 9 minutes to go. And Michael with the fist up, Cowboy, Ravens, and New York fans. What is the matter with you?
The guys are they're chanting Michael Irvin. I know we're in New York, and the fans went straight to the board, but right here it has to be Steven Jackson. We need a run. Dallas needs a running back.
Let me add a note about Steven.
Do you remember the last number 1 pick that Dallas had as a running back? Do you remember who it was?
It was my good friend, Emmitt Smith.
That worked. How did that work out?
And that worked out. Well, he's only all-time leading rusher.
And one who slipped a little bit farther than everybody thought. Remember, Emmitt Smith slipped a little bit farther, and Jimmy Johnson jumped up and took him. Add this note about Steven Jackson, even though you could say, boy, is he disappointed. No, the Dallas Cowboys is his favorite football team. It's his dad's favorite football team. He would love to play for the Dallas Cowboys, even if it means being taken 6 or 7 spots later, if this is the pick.
He's a smart football player in Dallas, and Bill Parcells, they love smart football players. This guy, he knows how to pick up a blitz. He knows how to protect the quarterback. He knows how to not fumble. That's what Bill loves.
He is a tough guy. I had one scout tell me that Steven Jackson took about 5 times more hits than anybody else at Oregon State, but never showed signs of slowing down.
Morty's 238 pounds. I think what Steven Jackson gives you is the bounce outside. He doesn't play like somebody that's 238. Normally 238 pounders will not give you the long dimension. He will. 227, now 238. And you're looking at Steven Jackson with the productivity. Look at that receiving yards total. He was able to, in Mike Riley's offense, catch a ton of balls this past year. And I think that when you look at not just those swing passes, he can get down the field. You see his ability there to run through a tackler. And I think this year he danced a little too much at times. You say, hey, is he as tough as we're talking about? Yes, he is. The problem was, and you see it right there, the offensive line at Oregon State, one of the worst in the nation, certainly the worst in the Pac-10. He had to earn his real estate. He even admitted he danced a little too much because he knew he had to create, went a little east and west. But I'll tell you what, he gets some help from an offensive line. With the ability he has, you see that catch there from Derek Anderson, low pass, he went down and got it. He is a factor. He'll block. He's got a phenomenal attitude. I'll tell you, when you look at a complete back, that's Steven Jackson. Chris Perry is complete, not as dynamic as Steven Jackson. Kevin Jones, a better athlete, but not the receiver or the blocker that Steven Jackson is. This kid runs downhill, and he'll run with authority, and he'll run with power once he gets a little help and get that full head of steam, which he could rarely do this year. Very rarely could Steven Jackson get anything close to a full head of steam behind that porous offensive line at Oregon State.
But do you know it's Steven Jackson, Mike?
Well, you know what the Cowboys need. And we can sit here and talk all we want. They need a running back. Troy Hambrick did not get it done. You know about that. Troy Hambrick running out of bounds instead of running into players. They need a tough running back to solidify their offense. They got a wide receiver in Keyshawn Johnson. I'm going to leave that alone.
I love
They got
Keyshawn.
a wide receiver in Keyshawn Johnson. Now they need somebody in the backfield to handle the chores of running the football.
And while we're talking Dallas, remember they acquired Drew Henson, the ex-New York Yankee farmhand, but ex-Michigan quarterback from the Houston Texans. So, you know, Quincy Carter took this team to the playoffs last year, which is a quantum leap, and ahead of where the coach, Bill Parcells, our old compatriot, ahead of where he thought that they might be in 1 year. They do have Drew Henson back there. What's the word on him?
Well, obviously, they don't know. He's in camp. He's working hard. And Quincy Carter did give them 10 wins. It was Quincy Carter's first full year of starting, and he's a playoff quarterback. What Bill Parcells wants is he wants a quarterback that can bring him from behind, that can run the two-minute drill with the game on the line. They have a free agent quarterback named Tony Romo they love. So it's going to be up for grabs. He's going to let those guys compete. I think Hutchinson is out of there myself.
Tony Romo sounds like a Jersey guy. No wonder Bill likes him.
Yes.
Let's head up to our EA matchup set with Trey and Merrill and Jaws. Fellas?
All right, Boomer, thanks. You know, you talk about the quarterbacks for the Cowboys. All 3 of them on the roster right now, besides Tony Romo, former baseball players. Chad Hutchinson, Drew Henson, and Quincy Carter was in the Cubs.
Odom doubled and fires, and the rebound by...
Underrated off-season maneuver, picking up Marcellus Wiley from the Chargers for a team that was the #1 ranked defense last year.
Well, that stays with their style defensively because they're going to attack. But if we look at where the Cowboys sit as far as a position, if they take Steven Jackson, how this helps Quincy Carter. The one thing that really stood out last year is Quincy Carter had to carry this team. Quincy Carter's not in a position to do that. And the one game that really stands out, when they went to Tampa and they had to play there, he had big eyes. He didn't perform very well there. So he needs somebody to take the pressure off him. Steven Jackson would be that guy. They'd be able to run the ball. Then Manny's first, Manny's second down. Manny's the game better, and that will help Quincy Carter.
And also a rock-solid acquisition in Keyshawn Johnson. When you look at Keyshawn Johnson, he's not a #1 guy that's going to go down the field and make those big explosive plays, but you have a Terry Glenn and Antonio Bryant. What you're going to get out of Keyshawn Johnson is a workman-like effort. He's going to do the dirty work blocking. He's going to catch the short passes in the short to intermediate area and get the yards after the catch. He's going to do the little things that help you win football games. A good acquisition in the offseason, a solid football player in Keyshawn.
He's going to make those slants to keep third downs alive and keep drives alive, much like some guy named Michael Irvin used to make for the Dallas Cowboys.
And a big target. A quarterback likes that big target, that position his body, you know, block the defender, make the catch in the crowd.
And it still comes back to Quincy Carter, helping Quincy Carter out, because, you know, I mentioned the Tampa Bay game where he really struggled because of the big game, the big atmosphere. He didn't perform well. But keep in mind, he had really no help. You look at the passing game, I don't think they had all the dimensions that they have now. And then the running game. The running game will help every team, and every quarterback manages the game. It helps your defense as well. This is an attacking defense that struggled, wore down towards the end because they had no running game.
Merrill, you and I watched that second game against Philadelphia in Philadelphia late in the season, and there was a play in that game where Troy Hambrick had a chance to lower a shoulder and get maybe a touchdown or inside the 5-yard line, and he ran right out of bounds. I think what Steven Jackson brings as a running back is that same work ethic, pounded up the middle effort that you're talking about. Keyshawn Johnson, looks like he will do the little things to keep that drive alive.
The one thing that always stands out when I watch tape on a running back, are you nasty? Are you nasty? That means, are you going to make somebody pay every time you run the football? Steven Jackson will do that. Troy Hambrick did not. He proved that. Now, the one thing you don't know about Steven Jackson, he hasn't played in the NFL. But what I have seen in college, he will come to the National Football League, he will flick pain on defenders, and he will really get better in the fourth quarter.
And you also have a Richie Anderson, a very versatile guy at the fullback
That's a Bill
position.
guy as well.
That's right. You know, you come out the backfield, catch the ball, he'll block. Again, we're talking about a lot of guys that'll do the dirty work for the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, one thing's for sure, Bill Parcells did something with the Cowboys he's never done before. His first year as a head coach on a team, he took them to the playoffs. He always seems to do very well in his second year, which would just continue the success he's had for the Dallas Cowboys. In fact, 3 of the last 4 teams I believe he's been a head coach on. As you take a look here, as he gets into that second season, you see a marked improvement. Can he do it for Dallas? Well, keep in mind, again, he's coming off a playoff season right away, which has never happened in Bill Parcells' career. We'll see what happens. About 1:30 left on the clock. Boomer, Steven Jackson is sitting there. We'll see what happens.
All right, guys, thank you. We're sitting here. And look, Bill, I imagine he's just seeing if anybody is calling, right? Mort, there's a reason.
Well, he does do due diligence, and Jerry Jones does the same thing. They both are friends of Al Davis, and Al Davis has always used almost the entire amount of time on the clock to make sure nobody's calling to give you a deal you can't. The Cowboys only have 5 picks in this draft. They've got to get at least 4 players out of this draft, and Parcells will tell you they're not so good that they have to say, we got to have a running back. If there's a better player on the board, they'll take him. But to me, the best player on the board, well, so we do have a trade, and that's the thing. They only have 5 picks in this draft, and they have to get more players, and certainly you can't get a running back. And let me just make this comment here about Buffalo being on the thing. Buffalo wants to come out of this draft with a quarterback. Tulane quarterback J.P. Lossman is a guy the Bills really like. And with Green Bay and St. Louis coming up, J.P. Lossman, the Tulane quarterback, probably is the Buffalo target here.
And how about Buffalo and Dallas making a trade? Mike, you inflicted pain on a lot of people in Western New York.
Yes, we have, and they just inflicted pain on the Cowboys.
Well, payback is the winners.
Did you see the fans, the Cowboy fans? They were like, oh, what do you mean we're trading out of this spot? We need a running back, somebody that can make a difference right now.
And Buffalo, you thought of getting the first-round pick. New England and Baltimore. Baltimore got bowled by giving up the first this year.
Well, here we go. Here's the deal. Let's go to the podium.
With the 22nd pick in the 2004 draft acquired from the Dallas Cowboys, the Buffalo Bills picked J.P. Lossman, quarterback from Tulane.
Just a note here in terms of Lossman. The Bills, they went to a workout at the Saints facility the same day that Eli Manning worked out. Lossman worked out after him. Some of the people there will tell you Lossman had a better workout than Manning. That's just a workout. He certainly didn't play around a great team at Tulane, and some people think that's a plus. Physically, has all the tools. Some people think he's a little bit too cocky, a little bit too full of himself, however. Drew Bledsoe has a contract that the Buffalo Bills are trying to renegotiate. If they do not get it renegotiated, and they were unsuccessful in some talks on Friday, then you're going to see Bledsoe maybe play out his contract, go one more year.
Mort, we had the details of the pick. Second-round pick this year, 43rd overall. Fifth-round pick this year as well, and a first-round pick next year. So a steep price to pay to get J.P. Lossman to the Buffalo Bills on this pick from the Dallas Cowboys. Keep in mind, New England traded away that pick in the first round to allow Baltimore to get Kyle Bowler. Baltimore doesn't have a first-round pick. New England had it this year, and they took Vince Wilfork. So I think you look at the situation here, Buffalo, they can bring along J.P. Lossman. Of course, they have Drew Bledsoe. Drafted Willis McGahee, knowing that he wouldn't play this year, so they're drafting Tom Donahoe is for the future. J.P. Lossman snaps it off from the ear. You hear quarterbacks with a release. His is from the ear, right where a quarterback coach wants it. He's got mobility, runs in the 4.6 range. He's definitely got the swagger. He's definitely got the confidence. Call it arrogance. A quarterback that knows he can get the job done. He took up pounding. This offensive line, look at Oregon State. Tulane's was worse. You can believe that. Tulane's offensive line was horrible. He got hit time after time, kept getting back for more. And I thought for 33 touchdown passes, considering the inability of that offensive line to give him any pass protection, he did a heck of a job. J.P. Lossman, we say, turned some people off. Well, I know St. Louis and Mike Martz liked them. They thought about him maybe in the late first, and here's Buffalo jumping in there as the situation. It just reflects last year when New England traded that pick, allowed the Baltimore Ravens to get Kyle Bowler. Now the Dallas Cowboys trade away a pick, get extra picks, a 2 and a 5 and a 1 next year to allow Buffalo to get J.P. Lossman.
Let's know this is going to be controversial because they gave up a #1 pick. The Bills did for next year's draft. We know that Ralph Wilson Jr. and Tom Donahoe have courage. They took Willis McGahee last year. But let's go back to a Friday phone call between the Buffalo Bills and David Dunn, the agent for Drew Bledsoe. They wanted to get a contract extension done by today. They did not do it. So Bledsoe could pretty much play this year under this contract, but after that, they're going to need a big-time quarterback, and they had a big grade on Lossman. They probably would have used a first-rounder on a quarterback next year.
That was their thinking. Almost 1,000 passing attempts at Tulane, 27 interceptions, and a rocket arm. You say, well, geez, like McGahee, he's not going to play all year. But they remember they had another #1 pick here. So they got Lee Evans, so it's not like they have nothing to show for it. Very gutsy move by the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to Sean Salisbury for your take on this. Sean?
You know, Boomer, I don't think it's that gutsy, to be honest with you. Of all the quarterbacks in this draft, I think he's the most talented. He's got the best feet. He's got the strongest arm. And now he's going to a position where he can learn behind Bledsoe at least early on. And I don't understand where all this cocky talk comes from. Don't you want a Brett Favre or a guy with an attitude at the quarterback position? We always say confidence is the most important thing at that position, and he's got it. And Mort talked about the workout with Eli Manning. Well, I was there the day before in New Orleans working with J.P. Lossman, and I sat down with him in the film room, and he walked me through his team and watched tape for 2 hours. So any knock on him about that he doesn't know much about football is completely wrong. I think this is a great pick, and I think you're looking at a future Pro Bowler with Brett Favre type of skills. The one negative that I see that he's got to learn not to hold on to the ball too long like he did at Tulane. But what can you blame him for? Nobody blocked for him. Plus, he's got the toughness you need. And Jaws, I think this guy, I don't think this is too early. I think this is a great pick for the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Sean, thanks. Well, one thing that J.P. Lossman is polarizing. You either love him or you do not love him. I don't want to use the other word there, but people feel very strongly one way or the other about J.P. Lossman and what he brings to Tulane. Jaws, you love him.
I love him. In fact, I had him rated above Phillip Rivers, who now is a
You got
#1.
everybody rated above Phillip Rivers.
No, I did not. I had Phillip
you.
Rivers #4, and he's going to be an outstanding pro. But I'll tell you, when you look at a young quarterback like J.P. Lossman, you see a very live arm. That's the one thing you can't teach someone, how to get the RPMs on the football. And when I broke him down, I saw a quarterback that projected very well into the NFL.
In studying J.P. Lossman on tape, here's what I saw. A quick, compact delivery. His ball position is a little high, but that will be corrected in the NFL. He snaps his wrist, which allows for more RPMs, more rotations on the football.
This makes for a stronger throw with much more velocity. From the waist up, Lossman is solid mechanically. It's from the waist down that JP needs work. What struck me was that with no pressure on him, his footwork was lacking. His feet were not balanced and set, and there was either poor or no weight transfer. But he can flick it. Great wrist snap, good velocity. This is a kid who needs a lot of fundamental technique work. Look here in the Senior Bowl. No pressure, and he delivers with his feet in the air. He will need to be coached hard by a team that does not get blinded by his throwing ability and recognizes that his present mechanical deficiencies would never produce consistency in the NFL.
J.P. Lossman's going to the right situation. He's going to the Buffalo Bills to back up Drew Bledsoe. He needs to get behind a veteran and learn. Tom Clements, the quarterback coach, must also do one thing: stay on top of him all the time. He has the live arm. He has the quickness. He has the ability to make all the throws. Mechanically, he does break down with his feet way too often, but it's a thing that can be coached up, and I think Tom Clements will do that.
I think there's no question this guy is a major project. Now, he says
there's no way he's a major project.
He is a major project and a 3 or 4 year project before he steps on the field. When you look at his mechanics, you just showed it. The mechanics he struggles with. And then the best way to describe him in the classroom and apply it to the field, he's spastic. He doesn't apply the football knowledge to the field. And if you watch his tape, and he really can say that he's like Brett Favre, then you know what? Then I got a question. You know what you're looking at in tape. Brett Favre is an MVP of this league, has won a Super Bowl in this league. If you're going to compare yourself to Brett Favre, you better at least have one MVP, and you'll be at least better played in this league. Right. You can't compare yourself
You're
to
upset
Brett
there's
Favre.
no running back's been taken. That has
nothing to do with it.
That's a separate issue that he's dealing with. Real quickly, though, 33 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. You can't argue his stats. You have a problem from here up?
His maturity level. His maturity level is awful right now, and that's why being behind Drew Bledsoe for 4 years is the key. If he starts right away, he'd be a bust.
Well, we shall see. Okay, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. I told you this guy was polarizing. We'll see what Seattle has to do. 7 minutes and change for their pick. Stay with us.
And DeLone is racing his team back down the field. Throwing Samuel Bailey. Touchdown, Frankfurt. Watch NFL Europe.
Boxing stars Shannon Briggs and Francois Botha make their K1 USA debut against martial arts premier fighters. K1 Battle at the Bellagio 2, Friday, April 30th. To order, call your cable company, DirecTV, or Dish Network.
On an April weekend in New York City, 32 teams begin the quest for a championship.
It's April, and we're ready for some football.
You'd love to draft an All-American, but any selection could be a standout. An All-Pro, a Super Bowl MVP. What does your team need? The NFL Draft 2004, presented by Coors Light, continues tonight at 7 on ESPN2, and tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2.
If you're 20 pounds or more overweight, there's news from the Obesity Research Institute. Dramatic weight loss can now be achieved without diet or exercise.
I lost 25 pounds in 6 weeks.
When I lost 7 inches through my waist, I couldn't believe it.
I was 247 8 weeks ago, and I'm 30 pounds lighter today.
The first week, I lost like about 10, and then every month, like 20 pounds.
Propylene, scientifically proven to reduce weight without special diet and exercise, backed by 9 clinical studies.
Please understand, propylene is so powerful that it was formulated only for those who need to lose at least 20 pounds or more.
Call now to try Propylene risk-free for 30 days for only $29.95. If you don't lose up to 20 pounds in 30 days, send it back and we'll refund your $29.95. But wait, it gets better. Call now and we'll include a second bottle absolutely free. Call in the next 10 minutes and your shipping and handling is also free. That's right. Call now and your second bottle and shipping is free.
Call 1-800-416-5588.
Welcome back to the 2004 NFL Draft. I'm Andrea Kramer in New York. 4 quarterbacks taken in this first round: Eli Manning, David Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, and most recently a bit of a surprise pick by the Buffalo Bills, J.P. Lossman. And on the other side of the ball, Takeo Spikes, the Pro Bowl linebacker for the Bills. What are your thoughts on why they would go for J.P. Lossman?
I think just the main reason, not necessarily because of the fact that, you know, everybody wants to say Drew is getting old and Drew didn't have a good season last year. You know, we didn't have a good season as a whole last year, and I think Drew has a lot left in the tank. But as far as planning for the future. You know, I think this would explain this move right here that's coming up with JP. And I had a chance to look at JP over the past couple of weeks. I have a good friend who goes to schools down there, so that's what kind of made my motive to get a chance to look down there. And JP, what he brings to the table is just the fact that he's very confident in what he does. He believes that all the other quarterbacks, all the 4 quarterbacks, any quarterback who went before him, he thinks that, hey, I don't care what they do, they're not better than me. So he brings that confidence to the huddle, and also he's able to drop back, read defense as well, and also he has a strong arm to deliver the ball real good. So that's what I like about JP a lot.
All right, now, Kyle Bowler, you can argue that the Bills did almost what the Ravens did last year in terms of trading away a #1 next year to get a quarterback. In your case, though, you started right away. You got to figure that J.P. Lossman is going to sit behind Drew Bledsoe. What benefit do you think that you had getting right in there?
Well, I think I benefited just pretty much from the experience. You're out there, you know, it's like standing in the middle of a freeway. You got a bunch of cars coming at you. You got to kind of figure out, you know, how to get across safely. In his situation, you know, Drew Bledsoe's a proven veteran. He'll be able to go in there and learn from him a little bit. I think it's a great pick. You know, I've watched him in high school. I played against him actually down in California, and you know, he's got a live arm, good feet, smart guy. So I think it's going to be good.
You know, it's interesting. I was talking to your head coach, Brian Billick, and he said he just believes that you got to throw quarterbacks in right away. But he actually felt that you benefited unwittingly because you got injured in the 9th game from starting and then sitting and watching. What did you learn about the quarterback position when you were forced to sit after you had the quadriceps injury that ended your season?
Well, you really get a whole different perspective because, you know, when you're on the field, you're kind of just everything's going so fast. And when you got to get a chance to sit back, you know, I got to watch Anthony go out there and, you know, run the offense, see what the defense does. You know, watch our defense. Sometimes a punt is, you know, better than trying to force a ball on 3rd down. And being a young quarterback, you come from college, and sometimes you can put balls in places that in the NFL you can't. And so you kind of I was able to kind of, you know, watch Anthony and kind of learn from him.
How difficult is it, Takeo, to accept a rookie quarterback? I mean, everybody's got a short shelf life in the NFL, and now all of a sudden you bring a rookie in, you've got to live through his growing pains. What are the challenges of doing that?
I think the challenges of that coming into a rookie quarterback, coming into a veteran team is just the fact that, okay, we know what we have here. And a rookie quarterback coming in, you know that, okay, he's going to go through his ups and downs. He's going to struggle. And as a veteran, I've been through it with Cincinnati. You hate to see a rookie quarterback come in because you know that you're going to struggle bad. You're going to go through the times where you're going to lose games 16-17, 10-7, regardless of how well you play defense. So that's the most struggling part about it is trying to accept that. But the good thing about it, I think that JP, he brings to the table all the athletic qualities that a quarterback needs to be successful in this league. And just by coming in up under Drew, you know, and just watching and learning, that's going to be unbelievable for him.
And certainly for Kyle Bowler, Chris Berman, Peyton Manning was 3-13 his rookie year, and Troy Aikman was 0-11. At least this guy was 5-3 with a positive record. Let's head back to you. I think the Seahawks are on the clock.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. We only got a minute left here on the Seahawks clock. A team clearly on the rise, a team that finally went on the road late, a team that was 10-6 and had a great finish, a team that lost a heartbreaking game at Green Bay, that great overtime game on the pass interception for the touchdown, a team that signed Grant Wistrom for big money to play defensive end, a team that signed Bobby Taylor, admittedly not the great Bobby Taylor that he was with the Eagles, but pretty darn good player, a team that drafted 2 very good defensive backs last year with Trufant and Hamlin, a team clearly on the move, defense up the middle. That's what the Seahawks need. Defense up like baseball, catcher, short and second, center field. That's what the Seahawks need.
With the 23rd pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Marcus Tubbs.
There it is.
Defensive tackle, University of Texas.
There what is?
Now, Mel, you can tell everybody, if we had 20 more seconds, I would have gone to that name because we already talked about it.
They really...
But the defense up the middle.
They don't have anybody. Yes. They got the old names of Eaton and Randall and Hand and company. They're gone. Seattle is completely restructuring the defensive tackle spot. Marcus Tubbs will be the cornerstone of that restructuring that he is a Seattle Seahawk. Look at that size. Great strength, was more productive this season, battled some minor injuries as a junior. This season, I thought he got it done on a more consistent basis. See him number 95, a big 325-pounder, pretty good athleticism, and a guy I think in the NFL has to turn up the intensity dial and maintain a sustained level of fire for 4 quarters. I thought he had some series where it was a little lackluster effort. I think if he can go full steam ahead for 4 quarters, he has the talent. And you can say boom or bust type, whatever. If he can be pushed and driven to play to the maximum of his capabilities, Marcus Tubbs has a chance to be a pretty good pro. We said how the risky defensive linemen are. I think there's a risk factor here with Tubbs unless he picks up the pace just a bit. He has talent. That's why it's a first-round pick. He needs to get more intensity for 4 quarters.
It's a good name for a big defensive tackle, the Hunt Tubbs. Very, very good. Seattle will be picking more guys. And why don't I put this out here right now? NFC title game? Seahawks, Eagles.
You hope.
Just throwing it out there. It's April. I can say whatever I want. When we come back, we will have the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. The rejuvenated Bengals with new uniforms and everything else. Yeah. Now we're getting going.
Whether you're the tourist or the attraction, the Lincoln Navigator. Travel well.
Let's say your hunting dog is coming into season. Well, you don't want more hunting dogs? You better fence her up. Let's show them how. And that's how a guy protects a lady's honor and keeps his place from going to the dogs. Go on, you dogs, get. Go on. Get. Oops, Daisy, not you.
So this is a great first date. Y'all look delicious. I mean, pretty. Sometimes they know me up in this joint. I pop a couple collars, you know.
Hello. Can I take your order?
Yeah, I'll help you.
Yeah, you can take my order. Let me get 3 number 5s, 12, 8.
You got an ear infection.
7. That's what Marvin wants. Yeah.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
Oh, I thought I had more time. Okay, yeah, I can make it. Bye.
Pay 10 bills in under 3 minutes online. Free with our free checking from Bank of America. Higher standards.
New York, it's a nice day in New York, and it's been a wild day inside here in New York. We are 4 hours into the NFL draft. Eli Manning was picked by San Diego. They had him for an hour. Then there was the trade with the New York Football Giants. Eli Manning there. Phillip Rivers will be quarterback of San Diego, or at least I don't think he's going to start necessarily, but he could. And if you tune in late, you missed a very intriguing first hour of the draft. The reason I point out that we're already 4 hours into the draft, we have not talked about the Cincinnati Bengals for the first 4 hours of the draft. Now, if you think at the rich history of the Cincinnati Bengals in the 90s and the early part of this decade, they were within the first hour. Not anymore. Marvin Lewis, 8-8, had him thinking playoffs. He's done what very few can. He's made the Bengals respectable. He's given them a lot of hope. He's given them organization. And this year, Mort, we're going to get to it in a second, he's using last year's #1 overall pick to play quarterback.
That's right. That's Carson Palmer, and we'll debate that in a little bit, but I know this much. Marvin Lewis's face is now on the Bengals. That's a miracle in itself instead of Mike Brown, the guy everybody liked to rip, the team president of the Bengals. But Marvin Lewis now believes with 7 picks in the first 4 rounds, he has a chance to put his fingerprints on the Bengals even more so. And listen, they did give Corey Dillon, they traded him to the New England Patriots. They have Rudy Johnson, but you've got 2 backs like Kevin Jones of Virginia Tech, who they really like, and Steven Jackson, who I don't think they thought was going to be there. And yet, Ohio State cornerback Chris Gamble is a guy they love. It's going to be really interesting to see them as they try to build this around Carson Palmer.
Hey, wait, oof, that hurt me when you said that. That just hurt me.
Yes.
When you talk about what Cincinnati has done last year, I think they made great strides. You say Marvin Lewis's face is on Cincinnati. That's fine. But to make the change in the offseason from Kitna to Carson Palmer, big mistake. This football, this game we call football, the respect you earn is in the locker room. John Kitna did not lose a job. He did not lose a job. They gave his job away, and you don't get anything in the NFL.
And I agree with you. I think Marvin Lewis's credibility might be on the line in the locker room. Now, he had a honeymoon year, but if for some reason Palmer struggles and this team loses, John Kitna, very popular. The other note I'll make here, though, I think they made that call early so that Carson Palmer can get all the repetitions in the offseason, and if for some reason it isn't working, they can go back to Kitna.
But it may even be too late. It may be too late.
Once you draft a quarterback #1 overall, he's playing as a second-year quarterback.
And that's why the Eli Manning situation.
Steve McNair didn't play
That's why the Eli
year.
Manning situation was so important, because you got to put him in the right situation. Carson Palmer goes out and he doesn't have early success, and Cincinnati's expecting to make a move towards more playoffs. They don't have early success. They're booing Carson Palmer.
Steve McNair and Chad Pennington played in their third year.
Steve McNair came from Alcorn State. This kid came from USC.
There's
I think he's got to play right away. Culpepper played his second year. These guys, well, you want to say force feeding or not, bottom line is when you draft him #1, he's playing by a second year.
There are many blueprints of how to do it. You know, Peyton Manning took every snap. I mean, did you say Steve McNair third year? Ron Jaworski took many a snap. Agree, disagree with what the Bengals are doing?
I totally agree with the move. I think Carson Palmer is the better of the two quarterbacks, and that's no disrespect toward John Kitna. He certainly has made a significant contribution to bring the Bengals back to an 8-8 plateau, and I think John Kitna has plateaued. I think the upside for the Cincinnati Bengals is Carson Palmer's talent. That's what it all boils down to. Who can go out there and make every single throw? I've been on the field watching Carson Palmer throw the football down the field, zip. There's a huge difference in how Kitna throws the ball and Palmer throws the football. When Carson Palmer is in the game, the whole field opens up. When Kitna's in the game, you're restricted.
Well, quite honestly, I think we have the system to blame, because really, is it Carson Palmer's fault that he was picked first? No. When you look at the system, the money that's being paid to these young guys, trust me, the owner's sitting there and looking at a guy who's making $15 million. That is why Carson Palmer is going to play. Carson Palmer did not beat out John Kitna. Carson Palmer makes more money than John Kitna, and that's why. Physically, does he have some better skills? Absolutely. Has he proven it on the field? No. And actually, Takeo Spikes makes a great point. When you have a rookie quarterback, when you think of some of the veterans that won't come to you, some of that's because of that. If a rookie's going to be there, I don't want to go there. Michael, I know that's one of the big issues, especially with free agency. Who's going to be your starting quarterback? What's my chances of winning?
Well, you know what Joe was just saying. Joe said, I watch Carson Palmer throw. You watch him throw on the sidelines. Have you ever watched him throw the ball with those boys barreling down his neck? That's the way he'll have to throw during the regular season.
John Kitna, I did see him throw the football at Southern Cal in the preseason, and the upside is with Carson Palmer. There's no question he brings everyone in the game. And I hate to sound like I'm dissing John Kitna, because I do have respect for him. But if you want to become a championship team, I'm not talking about going 8-8, 9-7. You want to win the Super Bowl, the guy you win with is Carson Palmer.
Winning championship, Charles.
That's
you put
right.
the best player on the football
and that's
field.
Carson Palmer.
And hey, I'm not talking about the best talent. I'm talking about the best player. And the difference is,
the best player took you to 8-8 last year. You were 8-8.
A player gets out and play. 8-8 is good.
With the Bengals, 8-8's like 14-2.
8-8 is great coming from 2-14 for 100 years. You lead John Kitna. You get those receivers. They build on. They're building something. They have something to build on. You let them play football. If he wins the job, he wins it in training camp. Like a man, like an NFL player.
You've got a 31-year-old quarterback who's plateaued. You got a younger quarterback where the sky is the limit. That's the guy you play. The team will rally around Carson Palmer.
They're throwing the kitchen sink, the grandmother, the granddaddy. Every time he steps to the line of scrimmage, they're throwing everybody at him.
Wait. Here, Michael. Teams don't always blitz the quarterback. They don't blitz the quarterback. They blitz the system. If the Bengals have the right system, protect the young quarterback, they're fine.
You'll get ruined the kid, Jaws. They have to be careful.
He's in his second year. He's ready.
They have to be careful.
Second year, is ready to go. Put him out there, let him go. That's why they made a decision now.
I tell you what, I bet he cannot fail. He cannot fail, and he has to top 8-8. Now, that's a tough chore for a rookie. He's basically a rookie again this year. He cannot fail.
If Palmer blows this thing, he will go back to Kitna, guys.
Well, listen. By the way, for our fans out there,
and you can go back to Kitna.
Will Palmer be the same?
For our fans out there, Ron Jaworski, Michael Irvin, available on TV 90 minutes every Monday night on Monday Night Countdown. I love that we're debating the Bengals. I mean, just think about this. All right, now usually it's so exciting when a guy gets picked. He's here in New York, he has the jersey, and then he gets on a plane and he flies, and a long way to go, and then they have a press conference at the end of the day, the team that they've signed him. So Eli Manning held up the Charger jersey. Oh, it's maybe a long plane flight. No, it's an 8-mile ride over the George Washington Bridge or maybe through the Lincoln Tunnel to the Giants. The Meadowlands, he's now with Sal Palantonio. Sal?
Yes, the Eli has landed, Boomer. He's officially a New York Giant. Eli, did you ever think that this moment would come to pass? And when you came out of the car and saw Giant Stadium there, met Tom Coughlin, what was going through your mind?
I was just excited. It was a great feeling to be a New York Giant, to see Coach Coughlin and then see the stadium, Giant Stadium. And it's been, it's overwhelming. It's been, a great day.
The reception you got here from some of the fans at the draft party was a lot different from the one that you got at Madison Square Garden. What kind of relief was that for you?
It was a great relief to walk down, the stairs and onto the field and having those fans cheering and yelling and screaming your name. It's a great feeling. I had a little different reception when I was at Madison Square. I had a few boos, but it's turned out to be a great day.
Well, now really here comes the hard part. You're going to have to eventually replace a guy in Kerry Collins who took this team to the Super Bowl. You're coming with all the hype of not wanting to play in San Diego. You got your wish to play in New York. Be careful what you wish for, right? What do you do right now to get yourself prepared for this upcoming season?
Well, I think the first thing I do is just get that offensive playbook as soon as possible. Start, learning the system, learning the plays, and obviously Kerry Collins has proven himself to be an outstanding quarterback. He's been in the league a long time, and he's got the job right now. But I'm just gonna come in and do whatever the coaches want me to do. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna prepare myself to play, and whether I do or don't, it's just gonna make me better for the future.
Ready for New York?
I'm ready for it.
All right, Boomer, back to you. There's Eli Manning.
All right, and a smile on Eli Manning's face, which is very good to see. Thank you very much, Sal. All right, so now the Bengals, this was a move down from Denver, but now here's the commissioner because the Bengals have traded the spot to St. Louis to move down a couple more. Since he's moving down twice already in this first round, one was done a couple of weeks ago.
With the 24th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft acquired from the Bengals, the St. Louis Rams select Steven Jackson, running back from Oregon State.
This Mike Martz and the Rams, we're going to target a running back in this draft.
So why not go get the best one in the
Marshall
draft?
Faulk is getting some mileage on him, no question about it.
Hey, when I said that last year, y'all jumped me.
Well, who jumped you?
So what are you saying? It's Marshall. Is that all it is? Not 3 months?
Listen, the Rams have 21 of 22 starters back. They didn't feel a pressing need, but they certainly were going to address the running back in this draft.
Now, where is that? The Bengals draft party. They're cheering. They made a trade. We'll get the details of the trade. So the first running back has gone at 24, the second longest we've ever waited to have a running back go in this draft. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Eli Manning. You're watching the 2004 NFL Draft on ESPN.
Yeah!
How are you? Campbell's Chunky Soup in microwavable bowls.
Eat up, guys!
With big chunks of meat and veggies to fill you up right. Wherever, whenever. Make it Campbell's instead.
Hey, I can see you cooked.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you.
Are you excited for
Yeah.
Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
Need help with your yard this weekend? We're free.
Buy almost any John Deere lawn or garden tractor, and it's free for 1 full year. For 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments, you better hurry down to your John Deere dealer today.
TJ! What's your blind side, rookie?
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
And wipe that smile off your face.
Okay, we're all set on Lakers. Now, we got North Carolina, Maryland tonight. Steve, you got an idea?
Yeah, I think it's about time we do something on Coach Williams trying to get that program back on top.
Which Williams, Roy or Gary?
Well, Gary, I mean, the 2-year grace period has to be over by now.
Gary's got a title and Roy don't have one.
All right, we're going to do it on Gary. 2 years past the title. We'll have a breakdown by Vital.
$1.50 is your change.
All right, what about
Soda
Yankees,
here.
Red
Get
Sox
your ice
here?
cold soda.
Frank Kona have any idea
Get
what he's
your
getting
soda.
into?
ESPN's exclusive coverage of the NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light, is brought to you by Lincoln. There are those who travel and those who travel well. And Tractor Supply Company, the stuff you need out here.
Welcome back to New York, where Steven Jackson, the Oregon State running back, just selected at number 24 by the St. Louis Rams. Steven, we know in physical time it was 4 hours. How long did it seem to you mentally?
Excuse me?
How long did it seem to you mentally waiting all this time to be picked?
Well, it was a long time. We know we were going to go in the first round, but we had no idea where. And then the shocker was Dallas, you know, making that trade. So we had no idea, but I'm more than happy to go to St. Louis, spend some time with Marshall Faulk, you know, I consider him the best running back in the league right now. So with that and being a mentor towards me, I think I'm going to tear the league apart now.
Marshall Faulk is such a tremendous student of the game. What do you think you can learn from him?
How to read the defense. That's what's most important in the NFL. Teams want to be able to spread out the defense and make reads in the coverage. So hopefully he can help me out with my defensive reading the secondary a little bit better.
We've heard about a poem you wrote as a little kid. When did you first believe you could be an NFL running back?
Well, you know, I've been playing football since I was 7 years old, and you know, as I see myself start maturing and be able to pick up the game a little better, I felt that I was physically better than a lot of kids growing up. I always seen it as a reality, and you know, God has blessed me on this day to, you know, to be able to be an NFL running back. It has come true now. Praise to God. Thank you.
Steven, congratulations. Steven Jackson from Oregon State to the St. Louis Rams at number 24. We'll continue here from New York in just a moment.
Sunday, the countdown is on.
A judge?
Can you believe it?
No.
A shocking decision
Eugene, if you leave, how can it work?
rips the practice apart.
You're acting like I don't have the right to
And
leave.
if you want to leave,
I have the right.
With only 2 episodes left until the series finale, 2 lawyers reach a mutual understanding.
you're disgusting.
Foreplay like this can only lead to sex.
Rebecca De Mornay guest stars in an all-new Practice after a new Alias, ABC Sunday starting 9/8 Central.
The first choice in the National Football League college draft.
Eli Manning. Kevin Jones. Sean Taylor. Kellen Winslow Jr. Giants? Chargers. Redskins make a blockbuster deal. What? The Redskins? Who, the Skins? Don't you mean the Cardinals? Or the Lions? Chargers? Giants. Chargers. Giants. Chargers. Giants. I thought the Redskins got the first pick. Redskins? Man, I heard it was the Giants. What happened to the Chargers?
The NFL Draft Day hat. Make it your #1 pick.
It's time to get Showtime. Showtime has the biggest hit movies, and you get hot new original series. Showtime has the biggest hit movies, and you get America's #1 boxing network. Showtime has the biggest hit movies, and you get explosive live events. It's time to get Showtime.
Part of Showtime Unlimited. Added for $12 or less per month. Call 1-800-DIRECTV to order now.
My bat speaks for me.
I'm looking for this pitch. And if I get it, I'm gonna do some damage. My bat is always talking.
MLB Extra Innings from DirecTV has up to 60 games a week. That's right, 60. You gotta see it to believe it.
In keeping with its long-standing commitment to America's communities, Campbell's Chunky Soup will donate 10,000 cans of soup on behalf of Eli Manning to a local food bank in his new team city. Campbell's Chunky Soup has donated millions of cans of soup as part of the NFL Tackling Hunger program, an effort to fight hunger all across the country.
Better one or two? Two. Better one or two?
Two.
Two girls for every boy. Nice glasses.
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
You want your car to last forever, right? How do you feel about friction, tightwad? Newsflash, pal. Over time, seals can buck. Hey, hey! Rings can blow. Don't forget metal to metal contact. This is Quaker State higher mileage engine, proven to reduce friction and condition seals. And it helps restore power in engines with over 75,000 miles.
You gonna pay for that?
Nope.
Get a free $5 Shell gift card when you purchase 6 quarts of Quaker State Peak Performance.
Yeah, folks, this is Captain Williams. Normally, you'd be looking at the I-35 corridor on the left side of the aircraft right about now, but we just got word that a blackout knocked out all the power in the area.
Hey, Dad.
We'll try and keep you updated on the situation.
What's that light down there?
I'm not sure.
Why have backups for the backups? Because your money deserves every advantage.
Automatic transmission, standard. Vented disc brakes and ABS, standard. Leather-wrapped steering wheel, standard. Alloy wheels and 180-watt stereo. Yep, standard. Let your Nissan dealer introduce you to the redesigned 2004 Nissan Sentra 2.5S. With 0.9 financing for 60 months or $2,000 cash back, we've raised the standards.
Boys, I know you might be tired, but we're in full playoff mode now, and we're gonna need everything you got. The players are giving their all, and we're gonna need you to do the same.
The NHL playoffs delivered daily on ESPN and ESPN2.
I'm Tommy Harris.
I'm Eli Manning. I'm Robert Gallery.
I'm Sean Taylor, and you're watching the NFL
Draft
on ESPN.
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 Is that what you want?
Yeah.
With the 25th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Ahmad Carroll, defensive back, Arkansas.
A hog. I like it.
Second Arkansas. There have been 2 Texas, 6 Miami. They call him Batman.
You know why?
Why?
Because as a kid, he'd jump over the center repeatedly.
I like it.
How about that? That's Batman for you. And you look at Ahmad Carroll, not real tall at 5'9.5", but a 41 vertical. Pesky, in-your-face corner. You watch him here in coverage. Here's a kid with a 41 vertical and 4.38 speed. He's got the track background. This is, of course, against Eli Manning. One of his best games as a junior came against Ole Miss. He had 7 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and an interception in that game against Eli Manning. You see how he closes, recovers, and comes away with the interception. Ahmad Carroll wasn't flawless at cornerback, Mort, but a kid who I think the combine workout, one of the fastest and one of the most athletically gifted corners, despite the fact he's only 5'9 and a half.
And you cannot coach speed. And here's one thing about Ahmad Carroll. This guy is a worker. He shows up at the Arkansas facility every morning at 6 a.m. to start his work. And don't forget, at the NFL owners meetings last month, we heard that the NFL is going to crack down on all that hands-on, those corners on the receivers, that illegal contact. So you better be able to run with these receivers. If you can't grab and hold them, Michael, you know that Ahmad Carroll can do that. I think he cost himself money by not staying in school. He would have been a top 10 pick next year, but he's confident enough to come out right now.
And you're right, Moore. The quicker guys, they become more of an asset for your football team, because now, since we can't grab, I want the guys that can sit back and drive on the football real good, and Ahmad Carroll can do that. He will help the Green Bay Packers.
If he'd stayed at Arkansas, he could have been a teammate of Alex Morton's.
And he'd probably be better off just being around Alex Morton.
Well, here's one thing. His hair is shorter than most of the defensive backs for the Packers.
Here's one.
Shorter than Harrison McKenzie.
Well, I mean, we should talk about Mike McKenzie, because Mike McKenzie is a guy who has been making a lot of noise. He's unhappy with his contract. We hear from behind the scenes he wasn't happy with the shuffling of the coaching staff. So there is some concern. McKenzie saying he wants to be traded. Ahmad Carroll certainly gives him some insurance.
All right, but wait a minute. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers, who won an overtime game in the playoffs, which is unbelievable. They lost a game they could have won at Philly. In other words, they could have been maybe a Super Bowl team. Brett Favre has a couple of years left. But see, we're going to have to ponder that. Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers, do they load up one more time? Something we'll discuss when we come back. And the Bengals are on the clock again.
Yeah!
You're late. Big line at the toll booth. You know those electronic passes? Yeah. Used to be 1 lane, then 2, now 3. And you don't have one? No.
It's the on-demand world.
Huh?
Electronic pass connects to toll booth. Toll booth connects to bank. Bank to your credit card. You come in here with your laptop, click, click, pay your bill through the air. But you don't get it, so you wait in line.
That means something.
To make it more convenient for people to enjoy the refreshing taste of 7-Up, I make vending machines that find you. I also fixed it so the product gets to the consumer faster.
Hey, cool.
Ah! Ah! They're like bloodhounds. This is going great. 96, that's pretty fast.
Oh, man, there's a line.
Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
When it comes to athlete's foot, this is the latest. This isn't. Lotrimin Ultra, the latest prescription strength medicine available without a prescription. The latest cure, so ultra powerful. 1 use a day is all you need. Nothing's proven stronger or faster. Lotrimin Ultra.
TJ! What you blindside, rookie?
Unleash the Rocky Mountain cold taste of Coors Light.
And wipe that smile off your face.
Energizer E² Lithium, the 1AA battery that lasts up to 7 times longer in digital cameras. Do you have the bunny inside?
There's a use for greasy-feeling chips. And there's Pringles.
Welcome back to the EA Sports NFL matchup. Trey Wingo here with Merrill Hodge and Ron Jaworski. So the Packers go defense. Well, does not make too much of a guess there, because it was a 4th and 28 play that got him into the playoffs. McCown to Nathan Poole, and then it was a 4th and 26 play that took them out of the playoffs in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that is correct. Donovan McNabb to Freddie Mitchell on 4th and 26, and it was an amazing play, you know, and no one has really shown the play and what happened and how the Eagles did complete the pass. I'm going to show you.
This was 4th and 26. Defensively, how do you let this happen?
there is no excuse for allowing this completion. This play was never broken down and analyzed. You'll see it from the coaching tape for the very first time now. The Packers were playing quarters coverage. 4 defenders across the field and deep, with 3 defenders playing the underneath coverage. I don't understand why they're aligned so close to the line of scrimmage. The Eagles, anticipating blitz, will only send 3 receivers into routes. The back and the tight end will initially stay in to block, but no one will blitz. The tight end releases, the back stays. I want to freeze the play right here. Look at these 2 underneath defenders. One of them is sitting 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. The other has hugged up to play the tight end. Why? It was 4th and 26. How can you play a coverage in a critical situation without factoring in the down and the distance? This drives coaches crazy and unfortunately gets them fired.
And one of those players that hugged up was rookie Nick Barnett. And this is what happens when you put rookies on the field. Yeah, it's draft now. We're talking about great athletes and athleticism, and they could run so fast and jump so high, but they must understand critical situations in a football game. 4th and 26, get your butt back there and don't let the ball get caught behind you. This is what happens, why intelligence is so smart. You've got to get players that understand every situation in the game, and particularly those critical situations. That's why, you know what? Smarts are very important. That's why New England keeps winning.
Well, that's why I said a coach has all the power but absolutely no control. We've talked about these young guys and their transition to the National Football League. It's the intangibles. It's the smarts. I know I was hard on J.P. Lossman. He has a big arm. He has those intangibles. But managing himself, managing a team, managing down and distance and all those situations, it's a mental game. And those are the things, if you don't know, if you don't understand, you lose games, you cost people their jobs. These coaches spend hours and hours and hours to put these players in the best situations, and then there's all those players want to be a hero, and they jump out of the system and cost your team.
Bottom line, they have to do what they're told under those pressure situations, and sometimes, as you said, with young players, that can be a problem. Okay, so how good is Ahmad Carroll? Let's check out with Andrea Kramer at the Cold Pizza Set. I believe, Andrea, you're standing by with someone who's worked out with Ahmad.
That's right, Trey. All along, we've known that Corey Chavis is a budding general manager. Now we find out he's training players as well. Now, you spent some time with Ahmad Carroll in New Orleans in March. How did that come about?
Well, actually, I'm good friends with Darren Martin, who works with Ahmad. And one of the things he talked about was at the combine, there were some questions about his drills. I mean, obviously, he had the great 40 time in the vertical jump. That was outstanding. But stiffness a little bit and things like that. I was a guy who was stiff coming out of school. I don't think that's as much of a problem for Batman. I think, really, when it comes down to it, he hasn't had the spring practices that a lot of other guys get in terms of fundamentals because he's run on the track team. He has a tremendous work ethic, though, and that's the biggest thing that I thought that stood out to me. He has a yearning desire to want to get better.
How do you think he will fit in Green Bay?
Well, I think you heard Chris Mortensen talk earlier about the changing of the rules, and I think Green Bay likes to use a lot of man coverage. You look at last year with Harris and McKenzie, they do play man coverage, and they do it very effectively. He fits into that scheme as an extra corner, somebody who could come in and compete if McKenzie, the problems with him continue on. I think Batman has a chance to really develop into an outstanding corner in this league.
Keep working out those players, Corey. All right, that's it from here. Boomer, let's head back to you with Cincinnati on the clock.
All right, Andrea, Corey, thank you very much. The Cincinnati Bengals began this draft a couple weeks ago with 17, then 24. Now they're down to 26. Now it's their turn. They picked up 2 4s and Delta O'Neal for moving down twice, and now this pick.
We said they've lost Corey Dillon.
With the 26th pick in the 2004 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Chris Perry, running back, University of Michigan.
Look, guys, they have lost Corey Dillon. We mentioned that. In their scouting department right now is Bill Tobin, one of Mel Kiper's all-time favorite personnel guys. Bill Tobin has always loved Big Ten Conference players. This is a Big Ten Conference player, and Mike Brown, the president of the Bengals, have always loved Big Ten Conference players. Of course, obviously, Marvin Lewis does, too.
Well, I look at Chris Perry as a guy who can run, catch, and block. I don't think he's the best back in this draft. And I think you look at Steven Jackson already off the board to the St. Louis Rams. Kevin Jones still available. And I think there's some other running backs that are going to present value. Chris Perry, though, you talk about consistency over the course of a season, he had that at Michigan. I just think there was a better back on the board at this point than Kevin Jones. But I think Chris Kind of guy, you look at the size, look at versatility. He'll be on the field for first, second, and third down. And keep in mind, in Cincinnati, he doesn't have to worry about being the full-time guy anyway, because they have Rudy Johnson, who had almost 1,000 yards last year, averaged 4 or 5 a carry, and scored 9 touchdowns. Chris will be a guy who can catch the football out of the backfield very effectively. He will be a guy in the NFL, not dynamic, not flashy. Now, I don't know if his skill level is enough to make him one of those top echelon backs, but keep in mind, in Cincinnati, he's going to be the number 2 guy, a 1-2 punch, along with a guy that's very underrated. Rudy Johnson had a nice year for the Cincinnati Bengals, Mort.
Yeah, and now, as opposed to a guy like Kevin Jones, who doesn't get much experience in the passing game, Chris Perry understands a fairly sophisticated passing game in terms of picking up on protections. And you got a rookie quarterback who may or may not play. Carson Palmer right now has the job. Chris Perry is a little bit more advanced than Kevin Jones in that area.
And you saw the ability to
well.
go up and over the top, in the goal line, in short yardage. Chris Perry runs hard. He's got that frame. He's got the kind of size, and he can, as I said, get that first down, go up and over the top in short yardage situations. And a good compliment, really, to Rudy Johnson. Is he going to be a big-time feature back? No. Are they going to ask him to be that kind of player in Cincinnati? No, they're not. They have Rudy.
The scout told me that Chris Perry reminds them of a guy like Deuce Staley, where he may not do any one thing great, but he does everything well.
Where's Kevin Jones in this? Does he go with it before we're done with the first round? Are you surprised that he's not the second back, Mel?
There were people in the league that I spoke to that thought Kevin Jones was the best back in this draft, Chris. I didn't think so. I thought that Steven Jackson was the best back in this draft, and I think when you look at the completeness of Steven Jackson, St. Louis, remember, Marshall Faulk has only played in, you talk about over the last 2 years, 21 games. He's had some injuries, his career lows at St. Louis, and in terms of this past year for the St. Louis Rams, so that made sense. Steven Jackson will be a nice addition. Kevin Jones, athletically gifted running back. Now, I think when you look at Kevin Jones, what does he need to work on? More reps catching the football. And I thought at Virginia Tech, he was not a consistent tackle breaker. And I think that's something you need to be cognizant of when you're evaluating Kevin Jones. In the NFL, arm tackles should not get you down. The grass should not make the tackle. And I think with Kevin Jones, he needs to be a little bit more aggressive on a consistent basis, breaking tackles, running hard up the gut, and I think getting yards after contact, which was not always something you saw with Kevin Jones on a consistent basis.
And more consistent catching the ball, like you say. Now, you put the young guy in, Carson Palmer, and when he's in trouble, he's going to look for that running back to dump the ball off to. I don't want this hot potato. You get it. He has to catch that ball.
And Perry has that ability.
Well, look, the Bengals, they took it back. Like I said, they got a couple of 4. They have now how many picks in the top?
They have 8 in the top 117, Chris. The Cincinnati Bengals well-stocked to come out a lot of players in this draft.
Tennessee on the clock, then the 49ers, then the Colts. So here we go, late in the first. We'll be back.
In this competition, there's no room to lose. So facing the opposition is what I'ma do. I got 24 seconds to live, and 200% is what I'm gonna give. So I push through the pain and raise my game. A victory is the only thing to gain. So I take it to the hole, drive it up your lane. I do it for the love, do it for the game. Even though I'm playing the game, I ain't playing. The trophy is the reason why I can. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started.
America's favorite home gym is more affordable than ever. Now you can get the all-new Bowflex Extreme for just $19 a month. Call the number on your screen for a free DVD or video and check it out. Bowflex's Power Rod technology delivers results. Powerful arms, defined legs, a stronger chest, and a toned, sexy core. And owning a Bowflex home gym is so affordable. Great results are easy with a new Extreme. All it takes is one simple workout, 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, to get in the best shape of your life. The Extreme is built so well that we back it with an unrivaled 7-year warranty. And so effective, it comes with Bowflex's 100% satisfaction guarantee. Through this special offer, you can own one with no money down and just $19 per month. You can't get this Bowflex deal anywhere else. Call us for a free DVD or video, or visit us online and find out how to get your Bowflex for just $19 a month today.
Welcome back to the 2004 NFL Draft, presented by Coors Light.
And welcome back to the theater at Madison Square Garden. Now, we knew we were in for a lot of intrigue in the first round of the 2004 draft, but maybe we got even more than we bargained for. 6 trades in all, and let's begin with the biggest. The San Diego Chargers traded the rights to Eli Manning to the New York Giants for Phillip Rivers, plus New York's 3rd-round pick this year, number 65 overall, plus a 1st and a 5th-round pick next year. Then a big move up by Philadelphia for the second straight year to select Shawn Andrews, the big offensive tackle from Arkansas, taking San Francisco's spot at number 16. San Francisco gets the Eagles' first-round spot coming up at 28, plus the Eagles' second-round pick at number 58 overall. Dallas traded with the Bills. Buffalo moves in with their second first-round pick. They took quarterback J.T. Lossman of Tulane. Dallas got the Bills' second-round pick, number 43 overall, a fifth-round pick, and the first-round pick next year. There were also swaps between the Lions and Browns, the Vikings and Dolphins, and the Rams and the Bengals. And maybe most surprising is that the Patriots stood pat. We know that they love to stockpile, and they also have a pick at number 32. On the clock right now, Tennessee. So we have to wonder now, will Tennessee stand pat or will they make a trade? And right now, let's go to Ed Werder in Washington. Ed?
Well, Susie, their phones definitely started ringing as soon as their pick came up and Chris Perry was off the board. Now, Jeff Fisher, I know because he lost Javon Kearse and Robert Smith on his defensive line, really was hoping a big defensive player would fall to them. If that didn't happen, I think he knew with the retirement of Frank Wycheck at tight end that two tight ends might possibly be there, and they are in Ben Troop and Ben Watson. I think those are players he'll consider. And then he told me, hey, we could consider a running back. Now, the guy we talked about was Chris Perry, who just went. And he was really conflicted about this, and it'll be interesting if they had Kevin Jones ahead of Chris Perry. His dilemma was, hey, Eddie George, he thinks that he can finish his career in Tennessee, that he'll take a pay cut, and they'll work this thing out, and he could play here. Fisher says he really wants to be a 1,000-yard back again, thinks if he gets one more 1,000-yard season, he could make the Hall of Fame. And he said he doesn't want to go out like Emmitt Smith, having to finish it out with a foreign franchise. And so it'll be interesting to see, he said, that if we take a running back with the first pick, that might be the end of Eddie George in Tennessee. Well, the Titans are on the clock. We're going to break, and we'll be right back with their pick.